Live in Maidstone, where tonight Warren Boxing Management and Trinity Entertainment Boxing present Made in Stone, live on Box Nation. And what a night we have in store for you here in Kent. I'm Ollie Bessel, I'm joined by Sean Noakes. And Sean, your hometown?
Yeah, exactly. I only live 5 minutes around the corner, so it's nice to have a good bit of local talent on the show here, and nice to be able to walk to the venue.
And listen, plenty of local talent on the show. First of what can we expect from the crowd tonight? It's
going to be electric in here. So it's a fighting town. Everyone's going to love it in here. All the boys done a good, and Ruth as well, probably done a good amount of tickets. So yeah, it's going to be rocking in here tonight.
Looking at the setup, the crowd are going to be very much on top of the fighters. Is that going to have an impact on them at all?
Honestly, I feel like when you get the cheers and the chants, you're going to feel like you're levitating in that ring. You're right on top of it. Like you think York Hall is right on top of the ring, isn't it? It's even more so here. So yeah, it's going to be some atmosphere here tonight.
So let's go back to the Box Nation before last. Obviously, you main evented, your first main event, new English champion. Tell us about your experience.
It was quite, mate. It was great great setup and all. Walkout was lovely. I never had sparklers before, standing in the flames, so that was a good time. Yeah, it was an easy fight, really. Tell you the truth, like it was tough, it was durable, but I knew I'd get him. I knew I was going to get him eventually, and when I see him wobble, that was it.
And obviously, new English champion. We were just speaking off camera, that's only going to propel you now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So now I've defended the belt twice now at welterweight. So, but I think the new challenge is super lightweight. I'm making the weight very, very comfortably, and I know I can go down, so we're going to go down, and then we're going to challenge for more titles at super lightweight.
So what's the plan? One fight to get used to the weight?
Yeah, one fight, like a little 6 round or something, just get me out, get me flowing, get used to the weight, and then jump straight into a title fight.
And one more question about the last Box Nation show. So main eventing though, big moment for you.
Yeah,
any different main eventing?
I felt a little bit of added pressure, but I think it just spurred me on a little bit more. Like it was lovely seeing your name in the big lights and that, and that's what you're in the sport for, really. So that's why you start in these amateur gyms as a kid. You go out running, you see your head, you see your name in the big lights. That's what you do it for. That's what everyone's in it for. So yeah, it was a great experience.
So let's move on to tonight. A number of fighters on the card, part of your stable. You know, we've always said Francis Warren's fighters, very, very close knit. It looks like you've got a great relationship. Does that transcend over to nights like this? You're sort of all one big unit?
Yeah, exactly. You're going to hear the noise. Say you've got all of us are trained together at some point or another. Like everyone pretty much apart from a few, have all trained together. So there's going to be some atmosphere. They'll all be supporting each other. All the other supporters will be supporting each other. So yeah, there'll be some atmosphere tonight. It's going to be very hard to beat.
So let's start with Mason Payne.
Yeah, he's like my little younger, going through, like we train at the same amateur club. My family, his family are really close. Yeah, so I'm really excited to watch him. Like I said, I get on with his mum. He calls my mum Nanny Shaz. So yeah, it's a very, very, very close relationship I have with him, and I'm very, very looking forward to watching him fight again.
So he had a fantastic debut last time around. He got the win. Bit of a tougher fight for him though. I think Francis wanted to give him a bit of a test early in his career. He came through it really, really well. But is it really important for fighters in the early stages now to get tested a little bit earlier than they used to?
I think that's the name of the sport nowadays. Everyone gets rushed through a little bit faster than they normally would. Like I thought my 7th fight or 8th fight was a title fight. So I think everyone gets rushed through now a little bit more. But say as long as you can take something from each fight, I think it's a bonus. So like each fight, you take a little bit from the extra 1%, it all adds up.
And he'll have a big crowd in here tonight?
Oh, definitely. So he's another nice and local as well.
Hickford.
Hickford, no, he's only midway, so round the corner, he'll have another good crowd. So I say it's going to be electric in here tonight.
It feels like Charlie Hickford hasn't been in the ring for a while. I know that he was meant to be on a Box Nation show recently. Didn't quite happen for him for one reason or another. He's back tonight. Big plans for Charlie Hickford though moving forward.
Yeah, classy Charlie for a reason. He's sharp, he's slick, moves well, he looks good. So. Handsome little git, isn't he? So, yeah. Looking forward to seeing Charlie.
You did tell me off-air as well that you were made for camera too, Sean. So.
I feel like I'm made for camera. I don't feel like I've got a face for radio just yet. Maybe when I'm done with boxing, I might look like an face for radio, but not at the moment.
You're looking all right at the moment.
Oh, thank you.
So let's move further through the card. So, Ellis Zoro.
Yeah, just stable mate of mine. So we're in the gym and we're constantly annoying him and winding him up. So hopefully he takes some anger out into tonight. Looks good doing it. But it's a class act, doesn't leave a stone unturned. You see the effort he puts in the gym. Can't wait to see what he's got coming tonight even.
So there was one point with Ellis, obviously it looked like the world was at his feet. A couple of losses. Obviously the fight he took in Riyadh, you know.
So his first southpaw he's ever boxed was Opataya, so it's a big jump, it's a big risk. But as I say, now it's building blocks back up, getting back to where he deserves to be. I'm looking forward to it.
And that's what tonight's all about for him, because he's come off the back of 2 losses. But let's not forget that before that, he was touted with a big, big future. Yeah. There was a lot on the line for him. Is tonight about getting back on that track?
Yeah, definitely. It's like building the blocks up again. Starting from the bottom. It's a little 6 rounder he's got here tonight. And I know he's better than Chev Clark. He might not perform that night. but he's got it in him to beat there, and he can definitely be British champion by maybe the end of the year, maybe start of next. But he's got it in him, and he does see the work he puts in the gym. Yeah, he's a force to be reckoned with, El.
And then we've got Ruth Huntley on the card tonight. I don't know how much you know about Ruth.
I know Ruth quite well, well enough. She used to train with Jordan Vine with us. Come from a nice family as well. She's a good girl, Ruth.
Yeah, obviously she made her debut. It didn't go the way she wanted on her debut. Very, very difficult position for a fighter when you're losing on your debut, especially she just signed with Frank. Tonight, the comeback begins. She said to us, it's almost forget about the debut now.
Exactly.
Start again.
Just build up from when it's build up again. That's all she can do. It's probably added pressure for her, but hopefully she comes through it in flying colours.
And how important do you think it is for fighters nowadays to just be getting in there and fighting the best rather than just trying to preserve their own?
I think it's a little bit hit and miss with that. Sometimes you always find out you're better when you box someone at a better, higher standard. But at the same time, with boxing, especially with these young fighters, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So there's no point rushing through. Just build up to it. When you get there, you'll be more than ready.
So starting to fill up here in the venue tonight. I want to move away from tonight's show and just talk about another stablemate of yours for a moment, Moses Atalma.
Oh, we trained with Jordan Vine together,
Yeah, I mean, obviously the world at Moses' feet. I know you're both managed by Francis. You spend a lot of time with Moses. First thing I want to know is the attention he's getting at the moment. Is he as focused as ever? Is he, any distractions for him, or is it laser focus on?
Mate, honestly, I remember watching him at 13 years old and spar a fully grown man from the army boxing team. Come down his gym to spar. I remember watching him at 13 years old, saying that kid's going to be world champion. He's probably one of the best fighters I've seen ever. And when talent will get combined it with hard work, as I said, the world's at his feet, and he doesn't leave a stone unturned either. So he's good. He deserves every bit he's going to get, every bit of winnings he's going to get.
You hear the stories coming out of sparring. Moses has been in there with the top names. We're talking about Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Joe Joyce. This is the best of the best. And from what we're hearing, you may have seen, but from what we're hearing, he more than holds his own with all of them. Does that show us that he's not the future? He's very much the now.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say if you give him the opportunity, if he was to fight Usyk tomorrow, I would still put my money on Rico. Well, Moses. Sorry, I call him Rico. Moses. I put my money on Moses winning.
That good.
That good, honestly. You see him, for a heavyweight, he's so fast and so sharp, and he's got power to boot. So, mate, it's a talented kid.
Well, listen, we'll talk more about Moses later on.
Definitely.
Thank you very much for your time, Sean. For now, we're going to head to our MC, Mark Burtis, for the first fight of the night.
Welcome to viewers of Box Nation viewing on YouTube. Box Nation, the channel of champions. Please welcome into the ring from Narva, Estonia, Demitri Kunes.
So, bidding everybody a very good evening from Ballin here in the beautiful town of Maidstone, the county capital of the Garden County of England. Here we are live on Box Nation tonight and on YouTube. Welcome everybody for joining us on this Easter Thursday. It's an early start, but it's a real rock and roll experience tonight in this venue. To say it's intimate
and please
is
welcome
perhaps an understatement, but there's a terrific little buzz about the place. Mark Burtis is our MC, and we're getting underway at middleweight with Jack Olifant. His opponent, as you saw, Demitri Kunes, has already made his way out there. And lest we forget, for many of the younger fighters, particularly tonight, there's quite a lot on the line. Olifant returning after a shock loss almost exactly a year ago to the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first bout this evening is a full 3-minute rounds contest in the middleweight division. Firstly, fighting out of the red corner with 8 wins, won by weight of knockout, 18 losses and a draw. Tonight weighing in 160 pounds 2 ounces, and he wears the black shorts with the red trim. Please welcome from Narva, Estonia, Demitri Kunes. And across the ring in the blue corner with 1 win and a loss, weighing in 160 pounds, and tonight he wears the white shorts with black and gold trim. Please welcome from Crayford, London, Jack Olifant. Your steward this evening is Mr. Chad Coakley. Your referee is Mr. Bernard Oyet, now giving his final instructions to both boxers.
All right, gentlemen, let's keep it clean, stay professional at all times, protect yourself at all times. When I call break, you take a step back, okay? Touch gloves, good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, 4 3-minute rounds.
And so, to get us underway here in the very intimate surroundings of the Ballin nightclub complex here in Maidstone in Kent. Welcome everybody once again. The first bell of the night at middleweight. We are live on Box Nation and YouTube. Paul Dempsey joined by Richie Woodall for commentary tonight. Richie, tailor-made for you, if I may say. First up at middle, Jack Olifant. I heard good things when he was an amateur. I know he can sell a few tickets because we met them on the way in, some of his fans. But a year of inactivity, bar a day or two. Richie, what are your thoughts as he gets back in action?
Well, yeah, he's not a bad kid, Jack Olifant, but he's had that one defeat and he's been out the ring a while, and this is a fairly tough one to come back into, actually, Paul. I think I've watched Kunes on a few occasions. He's tough. He's only been stopped once in the 18 defeats, so, you know, Jack Olifant has come back to a fairly tough fight, but he's got a lot of skill as young Jack, so this should be a good test for him. And I was looking forward to seeing him tonight because he's got a bit of skill about him, Jack Olifant.
Two probationers, if I might put it like that, involved in this opener tonight. Olifant, who's only remembering his 3rd professional fight, and we have a welcome tonight to Bernard Oyet, who's the probationary referee.
See, against this type of opponent, he's doing the right thing in that not a lot of these shots are hitting the target, but he's just getting his confidence up and just measuring the target with that left hand, and then he can bring that right hand into play. Just got to keep nice and busy and keep someone like Kunes at bay, keep him off balance, don't give him any good ideas to try and land a shot like that. You see, he's too far out there trying to throw that one, so just keep him at bay behind that jab and let things unfold as the contest goes on.
Kunes has upset a couple of youngsters making their way in the pro game here in the United Kingdom. Demitri and Brian Collins both came a cropper against him.
Yeah, he's not a bad kid, is he, Kunes? He's one of these journeymen that now and again can just spring the upset. And these are the type of journeymen that you should be encouraged to box against, that are going to give you a good test, a good workout, without having things too easy, Paul. You've got to learn, you see. No good just blowing people away. So against this type of opponent, who, you know, look, Kunes is not throwing a lot back, but he's just waiting for that right hand over the top. That's the punch he's looking for. So he's fairly dangerous, and that keeps Jack Olifant. He knows that he's up against someone who's looking for that one shot. So he's boxing with a bit of fear and a bit of caution, which is a good thing, I think.
Certainly kept a respectful distance for most of the opening round. There's the end of round 1 tonight. Scheduled 4 at middleweight to come tonight. On the left-hand side of the bill, I guess we could put it like that. The house fighters: Charlie Hickford, Ellis Zoro, Jimmy Dean Wood, Ruth Huntley, George Crotty, Mason Payne and Harry Mullins. The action will be fast and furious right through the night. We're delighted to have your company on Box Nation on the YouTube channel. Made in Stone. Great moniker for the show here, Richie, in Maidstone. Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a small hall with plenty of people in here, so it's a good atmosphere. And I like these type of shows, Paul. You know, my favourite venue in the UK is the York Hall, actually, because the atmosphere, small shows, grassroots boxing, that's what it's all about.
Seconds out to round 2.
People are crammed in, but very intensive indeed as the evening's boxing gets underway. Jack Olifant, it's in every sense a scouting mission tonight. I would even go so far, Richie, to the point of saying that those around him need to see certain things in terms of his commitment to the trade, really, because it's a very long layoff. There are always reasons why, I know that.
Yeah.
But he's 24 years of age, so, you know, if this is not for him, then people are going to make that decision fairly quickly.
Yeah, and it's time for him to, you know, to get serious about boxing again. 24 years of age, so, you know, he's still got plenty of time on his side, but you'd expect him now to just kick on a little bit. And if he can get 6 to 8 contests this year, that would be, I think, a realistic target to aim for if he's going to be serious about it. You know, and knocking on the door of his promoter and his manager, saying, you know, when am I boxing again? Because the more he boxes, the better he will get. And he's got a bit of skill, like I said, about him. And this is a decent opponent to come back to, I think. He's nice little feint there, you see, Jack Olifant, with that front foot, front hand. He's just trying to trigger his opponent off, get a reaction so he can counter.
Just starting to loosen up a little bit and just pick up the tempo a little bit, and he looks a much better prospect when he does that. I think it was a very tentative beginning, understandably in many ways.
Yeah, I think that's probably come from the corner. That I've said, just up the pace a little bit, go through the gears. You know, it was a tentative first round. He was just having a look at his opponent, and now he's trying to, you know, to get behind his boxing a little bit more, and just to up the tempo slightly and put the opponent under a little bit more pressure, and try and bring him out of that shell of his, because his hands are nice and tight. Guard. There's that right hand from Kunes again. But yeah, if you get him to commit to a shot, that's when he's going to be more open, you see.
But Kunes, where possible, keeps on the move. He's only been stopped once in the early stages in 27 pro fights. That was by Jimmy Saints. He's only 20, the opponent, but he started pro game at the age of 17.
You've got to remember, Paul, the Eastern European fighters, you know, they're really tough guys. They have a tough upbringing. They probably have plenty of amateur contests in these countries, in tough tournaments as well if they're fighting internationally. So they're well schooled, the Eastern European boxers, and here is a typical example of that.
It's about opportunity, though, isn't it, Richie? And you know, we don't often see Estonian fighters making it to the major international amateur tournaments anymore, Olympic Games, because it's so difficult to get in.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
As an example. So that's probably why they decided, well, if he can earn a few quid doing this, good luck to him. And he certainly embraced the opportunity. Olifant looking to close out the round stylishly. It looks to me, Richie, like Olifant is just remembering as he goes, this is how I do it, this is how I close the round quickly, this is how I start to get up on my toes and start to move. One or two of the combinations came a bit more freely in that second round.
I think he upped the tempo a little bit more in that second round, ended the round fairly strongly. Got Kunes again, landed a couple of good right hands, just to remind him that, you know, he's still in it. But again, Olifant, I think, didn't have too many problems. And I'd just like to see maybe just turn the screw a little bit more in the next round.
Corners 10 seconds.
It was interesting, Paul. We spoke to a couple of people before.
Seconds
the show
out to
started, and
round
actually thought
3.
the ring was a little bit too big, but it doesn't look a big ring at all, does it?
Looks great. And it's one less excuse for Kunes if Olifant continues to lift the pressure as he did in the second round.
Yeah. See, what Olifant's got to watch out for now, Paul, is Kunes occasionally he gets encouraged to come forward, and that's when he's just looking to nick that right hand over the top of the left of Olifant. So Olifant's got to, when he starts coming forward, keep firing the shots out at range. Nothing mid and short, everything long range to keep the opponent off balance. If he's off balance, he won't be able to get that shot over the top off, you see. So as look, so now he's watch when he creeps forward. There it is there, right on cue, right hand. That's what he's looking for when he starts to creep forward.
They talked to him a lot between the rounds about the uppercut. He just tried it right there.
What he doesn't want to be doing, Paul, is falling in after the shots that he's thrown. That's when he could walk onto a shot. Keep your distance, box at range. If you can beat him at range like that, then do that. Don't fall in. Box sensible. Box with a bit of caution. You can still be aggressive, but at range, you're keeping the opponent off balance.
Little reminder from the referee Adai about the little bit of grappling we saw from Olifant. In patches, to me, he's looking rather good, Richie, I must say. But it's a bit of an uneven performance, if I could put it like that, so far.
It is. You can see he's been out the ring for a while, so he's got some cobwebs to shake off here. But this will do him the world of good. Like I said, against a decent comeback opponent, this kid is.
Very much so, yeah. It is a feature of all these shows that we've been working on. Delighted to be on the shows that the matchmaking's been outstandingly good. I can't think of a single walkover job for any of the house fighters so far. I know it's going to happen. It's not a perfect science, but everybody's showing up here. Largely, it's a proper boxing crowd again tonight. They know what they're watching.
Yeah. That's it. Everything's at distance here for Olifant, which is nice. So you can see Kunes, he's very well schooled, does the basics well, nice high guard, not a bad straight jab himself, and then the odd right hand, but that's better. Going through the gears, up in the tempo a little bit from Olifant again.
Richie, there's one thing I want to ask you about Olifant.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's an example in these last few seconds. No, he's keeping his right hand up right to the end of the round, but there are times when that right hand detaches itself from the chin, and when he goes forward he looks a bit too open. Is that just an impression that is not accurate, or what's your view?
It's a good spot, Paul. There's no problem with that as long as he's out of punching range. In fact, sometimes I encourage boxers, occasionally if you're out of punching range, just shake off, drop your arms a little bit, keep your eye on the opponent, shake your hands, get your arms nice and loose, because that relaxation, then you're much quicker when you're more relaxed. But when you're close to the opponent, the problem that a lot of fighters have is their hands get too low, too close. So when they're in punching range, when the hands are too low, which you've spotted there occasionally with young Olifant, you've just got to watch out for that. And that's when you obviously can be caught. So there's nothing wrong with having the hands low when you're away from the opponent and relax and get that relaxation back into your arms. because that will encourage the speed when you're throwing the shots.
Fourth and final round.
So it's been a brisk beginning, and here we are already going into the last round of the opener here tonight at Ballin in Maidstone. This Made in Stone fight night for Easter Thursday, the 17th of April, live on Box Nation and YouTube. Jack Olifant, over to you. You seize your opportunity, out for almost a year, opening the show. And there's been patches of encouraging work from Olifant tonight against Demitri Kunes. It is a scouting mission in a sense, really, after this long layoff, the shock defeat against Remy Schouler of France at the York Hall. Been a lot of introspection since then, quite obviously.
What's important now, Paul, for Olifant is just to end the show, go through the gears, let's pick it up a little bit, because don't give the opponent any sort of ideas of himself finishing strong, because he hasn't thrown a lot of shots, Kunes, in this contest, so he's probably still got a lot left in the tank. So what he's got to do now is just end the show, work quite hard up the tempo, and just keep the opponent at bay. Don't give him a sniff of ending the contest nice and strong, because there's still plenty left in the opponent here. So if this is good from Olifant, he's keeping it nice and long, but he's up in the tempo. That's good boxing.
I guess what remains here, Richie, with about 1:30 of the final round, is how brave Demitri Kunes cares to get in the attempt to land something big here, to sneak a victory.
Yeah, he might last minute or so he's going to be most dangerous then. You'll probably get a signal from his corner, and then that's when he might come on strong. So he's got to keep his eye on the ball here, Olifant, throughout the contest now. Just see out the show, but we may see his opponent just have a go this last minute or so.
One stoppage victory for Kunes, that's all, among the 8 wins. They're having a word with him right now, Richie.
There you go, see. He's just going to watch out. Just stay and keep the concentration levels nice and high.
It's like a free shot for somebody like Kunes when we get to this stage. He's fulfilled his role in giving the opponent, the house fighter, rounds. Done that job, look competent but not dangerous. So if you get lucky, you're entitled to try.
Why not?
Why not, indeed. You know, Olifant needs to be very watchful all the way through now, these closing moments.
He's finishing nice and strong, still boxing well behind his jab, staying at range. He's nice and aggressive at distance, which is that's the way to go about things, especially in the first one coming back for over a year against a tough opponent. And this hasn't been a bad 4 rounds. This will do him a world of good, Jack Olifant.
Knowing little nod and a smile from Olifant. I think that's more, again, introspective than anything. I've got through this okay. I felt my way back in. Largely, I've enjoyed it. That's what the body language says to me, Richie. Yes. I'm back, he says. What's your view, Richie?
Yeah, absolutely. And rightly so. So, yeah, he's saying, I'm back. That's great. And like I say, he's been in against a decent opponent come back, because it's going to be very difficult to stop Kunes. But who's done his job tonight. So that's a good 4 rounds after being, a year out of the game. Then that will be very, very beneficial, I think, to Jack Olifant. And like I say, Paul, the key now is to keep boxing, keep improving. Another couple of 4 rounders, then up into 6. We've got to box, for me, probably 5 or a good 6 times this year. That will do him the world of good. But that round, those 4 rounds there, that was perfect for him to come back to.
So I think we know what we're going to get from our MC Mark Perez, but the most important thing to take away from this tonight is that Olifant feels good about himself.
Your referee scores the contest 40-36. The winner from Crayford, London, Jack Olifant!
So Jack Olifant's going to be heading back up the M2 with a W in the bank
for the brave
for Easter.
And gallant Demitri Kunes.
And he was brave and indeed gallant Demitri Kunes in our show opener here tonight at Ballin in Maidstone. Just one final little comment from you, Rich. You mentioned the York Hall Bethnal Green. That's where he suffered that shock defeat against Schouler, who was a proper hard man from France. Are there going to be a few gremlins? He's a Crayford boy. When they're bound to take him there soon. When he walks in the doors of the York Hall, will there be a few gremlins running around inside his head then?
Ladies
yeah,
and
there may be, but obviously when you do a performance like you've done tonight, you know,
from San Salvador by way of
Nicaragua, not only physically but mentally as well. So
Manuel,
he's getting that out of his mind, but yes, definitely that could happen, Paul.
This is rapid stuff here tonight, folks, here at Ballin in Maidstone, already into the ring for our featherweight contest. Jose Manuel Perez, known already to many of our viewers, I know.
And please welcome into the ring from Medway, Kent, Classy, Charlie, Hickford!
Classy outfit, classy embroidered all across it. Classy Charlie Hickford. There are one or two real success stories in British boxing from this part of England right now, led by the Noakes brothers of Maidstone, who are in attendance tonight, and there's one or two other talented prospects, including Charlie Hickford.
This evening is a 6 3-minute rounds contest in the super featherweight division. Firstly, fighting out of the red corner, with 13 wins, 10 by way of knockout, 21 losses and a draw to his name, weighing in 128 pounds 3 ounces, and tonight he wears the black shorts. Please welcome from San Salvador by way of Nicaragua, Jose Manuel Perez. And moving across into the blue corner with an unbeaten record of 3 wins, 1 by way of knockout, weighing in 129 pounds 5 ounces, and tonight he wears the blue and white shorts. Please welcome from Medway, Kent, Classy, Charlie Hickford. Your referee in charge is Sean McAvoy of Islington. He's now going to give his final instructions to both boxers.
Okay, lads, 6-round contest. Keep it clean at all times. Keep yourself protected at all times. Touch gloves. Here we go. Good luck, lads.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 3-minute rounds.
So, straight up to 6 3s at featherweight. Sean McAvoy takes over on refereeing duty. Charlie Hickford, based, I understand, in Rochester. That's his backstory anyway. It's his 4th pro outing tonight. 3 wins out of 3, 1 stoppage victory, and plenty of hopes in the long run that Charlie Hickford can add to what's becoming a really exciting scene down here in the southeast of England. We've got the Noakes brothers, we've got the Italma brothers, of course, and success breeds success, Richie, like nothing else in this trade. So Hickford's trying to jump on the bandwagon, and in terms of his public image and so on, I think they've got a lot to work with.
Yeah, I've seen him a couple of times now, Charlie Hickford. He's a very skillful kid, I think. He's not bad at all. You know, decent style. He's in and out with the feet. He's been well schooled. You can see that. And against an opponent here who's obviously a little bit small, but he hangs back, so he could be a little bit tricky to get to. So it'll be a different challenge for it. Could look a bit dangerous for that right hand again there from Manuel Perez, who looks at a tough opponent. So, but I do like Hickford. The skills, gets caught with that right hand, so I've got to watch it. Yeah, this is a decent contest that's shaping up here, Paul.
I can't call that a clash of heads, but there was a clattering of head into ear, Richie, which can be very painful. And just brushed aside by Perez. He can be a proper handful, this Perez. 11-year pro career. He fought 4 times during the month of March, 5 fights in the last 7 weeks, gives people rounds, gives people problems to solve. But it's a nice sharp start, this, from Hickford.
Yeah, good start. You've got to watch for the right hand from his opponent, but what you've got to try and do as well, Paul, is try and get him to come forward. If he comes forward, especially with that low lead hand that Perez has got, then he'll be open to that right hand over the top. He'll also be open to a right uppercut, Manuel Perez. But at the moment, Hickford, he got caught with a couple of shots. There's one that just fell short. But Hickford, yes, he's boxing a little bit more clever now.
There are signs, Richie, actually, that he can dig a little bit, Perez, and he's thrown a big right hand there, just as I mentioned it. He's won 13 times in 35. It's a respectable record. He's not a blowover, and 10 by stoppage. 10 wins by stoppage. So be wary,
absolutely.
Hickford.
That's what you do when you're coming forward. That's why the odd feint with the front lead hand and the lead foot. Try and trigger the opponent, trying to get him to come forward. That was a good shot. That was a good body shot there. He hurt Manuel Perez. Good punch.
Perez lets the tempo drop a little bit.
And occasionally, Paul, in this situation, just step off to your right occasionally. Perez keeps throwing this right hand, and that's mainly because Hickford occasionally holds his feet or just drifts to his left and then walks onto it. So just step off to the right just occasionally.
The Dan Woolwich team has played a big part in the Hickford story so far. They've got another good one on their books, no question about it.
One thing about Perez also, Paul, he had 7 contests last year. This is his 6th contest this year, up to now, and so we're only into April. So he's 7 last year, so he's busy. The busy boxers tend to be the better boxers, don't they, you know? So, yeah, but again, this is a decent opponent, good matchmaking for Charlie Hickford here.
We last saw him at the end of March, actually, on the big show in Gibraltar. It was an amazing night in many ways, and he gave 6 rounds to Louis Merriweather. 6 good rounds there were too. Last victory for Perez came in September of 2024. That was back in his native Costa Rica. I understand his prime residence now is in El Salvador, but he travels all over where required for work.
And he really will box anyone, you know, Paul. I was looking at his record earlier today. He's fought 16 opponents with an undefeated record, with an O in the record. So that's, I think, you know, that's pretty tough for Perez. You know, he hasn't won many of them. I think he's only won one of those contests. But nevertheless, it shows he'll go in with anyone. And remember, he's only been stopped 3 times, so he's got a decent chin. So again, this is a tough contest for Charlie Hickford.
We're seeing 1s and 2s. I'd like to see a few more 3s and 4s from Hickford.
Maybe. And at this stage, keep the punches straight again. You see, Perez is only... He'll only land shots, bent arm over the top, you see, and that's when you're going to be closer to him. So keep that jab going out, make things difficult for Perez, boxing at range, make him make mistakes, make him come over the front foot. But if you're going to him, there's an occasion when he can throw that right hand over the top. He's dangerous.
I think so too, Richie. He's thrown it on numerous occasions so far. Let's see if Hickford can build domination now.
Oh yeah, he's clever, you know, Perez. I was just looking in there, looking at his eyes. He's looking at Hickford's body. I think as if he's going to throw downstairs, and then he whips the right hand over the top. Clever boxing, good boxing brain this kid's got, Perez.
36 years of age. I'd venture to suggest at least 20 of those years have been spent doing this. Individual shots, not just flashy, very good from from Hickford. Classy, not just flashy. But I'd like to see a bit more.
Maybe 3s and 4s, like you said,
Yeah.
Paul.
That's better. There we go. That makes such a difference.
And he switched the attack there also. Started the attack to the head, finished it with that left up to the body. That was good. That's what he's got to watch to avoid, just falling short with that right hand there. Sets it up first, maybe that with a jab or even a feint with that lead hand before throwing that backhand. Feet have got to be a little bit closer.
That rictus smile that plays around Perez's face. Good times and bad. Good right hand from Hickford. Felt that, did Perez. That stopped him in his tracks, gave him something to think about. Now Hickford looks to end the round strong. dominant. Busy round so far, Richie, aren't they?
Much better. Again, boxed with a bit of caution that last half of the round. That was good, decent.
It's a brisk 6-rounder at featherweight tonight.
This type of opponent, Paul, you limit his opportunities and his chances. Keep him at range, make him come over the front foot and make mistakes. If you keep outboxing him at range, then he might get frustrated. He may come forward a little bit more with that low lead hand and he become more open.
Corners, 10 seconds.
Hickford, a model of composure as he gets ready to go back to work. Just a little word in the ear from our referee, Sean McAvoy. Perez slides up one side of the ring, almost on the rope, but not quite, because he knows not to do that. And now he feels for the rope. Just got to be careful not to lean in a bit too far, Rich, in the attempt to make the pace.
Yeah.
Look at that right hand of Perez. It's cocked all the time. Richie spotted it very early on tonight. That broken arm right hand, if you like. Bent elbow. Get your legs over. That's what they're saying to Hickford. Don't become unbalanced. Don't start reaching for it.
Keep the punches nice and straight. When your punches are straight, then there's a gap between you and your opponent. And make sure you hit the target. This is when you need a couple of little triggers now. That's a lovely shot. Little feint with the front hand and front foot. That's better. Now bring the uppercut into play when his feet come square like that.
Just given his frame, Richie Perez, he's given a lot of height away to Hickford here, isn't he? Hickford stands 5'7", and I think it must be luxuriating in doing 128 pound on the scales, Perez, for this featherweight contest tonight. But there are times when Hickford has looked the heavier handed. The problem is that Perez is quite accurate.
He is,
and sharp with his punching.
And he's dangerous at mid short range, then that brings him right into the contest. Keeps making that mistake though, Paul. His back leg keeps coming round and he becomes square. When that happens, he's wide open. There he is there. He's wide open to the right uppercut then. If you can trigger that off, make him come forward, keep them feet to come square, then whip that right uppercut through the middle.
Big home support here for Hickford, of course. He's not riding on that wave at the moment. He's fighting a fairly methodical fight in the main, and certainly not being overexcited by the imperative to win here at home. Well, pretty much at home, a few miles from his actual home in Maidstone to Rochester, where I understand his roots are.
I think he's boxing well.
Yeah, me too.
You know, he's not lunging in. He's sort of, that's better.
Here we go.
Lovely work that was.
Perez under pressure. Normally Perez finds a way to escape pressure.
There you go. Look at those two jabs there at the end of that sequence of punches, just to keep the opponent off balance again. That's good boxing. Boxing a clever contest now. Charlie Hickford, not making many mistakes now, and that's frustrating Perez a little bit and giving him less opportunity to come back.
Perez was happy to see the end of that round, I think. Getting to the halfway point now in this 6-rounder. Some really good flashes of work from Hickford tonight, Richie, so far, I think.
Yeah, there was some lovely boxing in that round there. He boxed well at distance, but he did some lovely counter punching just above us. He was in and out with the feet, made his opponent miss, and then made him pay by scoring with a couple of really good shots. That was good boxing, but I just like the way his composure in that round. He didn't lunge in, he wasn't making so many mistakes, because Perez is just waiting for a mistake of Hickford, and then that brings him into it. But in that round there, Hickford boxed very well and didn't make many mistakes.
So Charlie Hickford seems to be in control, but Jose Manuel Perez can be a problem for anybody, and in flashes tonight he's looked really sharp as usual, wants to give the public everything, wants to give his opponent everything that he has got, and most of all wants to make sure that the promoter has noticed, which I think is a given. But Hickford is the boss early in this round.
It's a contest, Paul, where you can't get complacent, though. That's
correct.
Important. You know, he's boxing well, Hickford, but he's got to keep it going. And it's all about concentration as well. And that's it, that's nice. Just staying on the outside, you see. And he's in and out with the feet. He's trying to draw the opponent, and then he springs an attack like that. That's good.
Lovely bit of work all round there. And do you know what, Richie? If I hadn't known it, that screamed Repton ABC. That 30 seconds of boxing there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he did spend time at Repton ABC. Actually boxed locally for Chatham St Mary's before that, but I believe his father, Steve, was also a Repton fighter. And there is a big connection there. And it shows a commitment. That's a long round trip to go to train from this part of Kent.
Yeah. And his father would have been under the great and late Tony Burns, remember, who was Mr. Repton, wasn't he? He was fantastic, Tony Burns. So his father would have been well schooled, and Repton has produced so many champions and classy boxers. It's incredible. It's a great club. You know what, I'm impressed with Hickford here. He's breaking his opponent down behind sensible boxing, Paul, and that's good. He's not lunging, he's not getting carried away. He's doing his stuff, he's working behind his jab, look at that. So yeah, he's enjoying it, but he's doing it properly.
Yes, absolutely. Very easy, seen it hundreds of times. Early in a kid's pro career with a big home following on a night like this. Starts to rush it, starts to get carried away, swept away by the emotion and the distraction. Continues to apply the pressure.
Yeah.
As you said, Richie, Perez is starting to feel it a bit more, I think.
He is, yeah, and he's been totally outboxed now, Perez. But he's tough, and he'll want Hickford to stand and trade and drag him into that toe-to-toe battle. But Hickford, again, he's boxing sensible behind that lead hand, and it's been another good round.
So approaching the end of 4, and now into new territory for Hickford at 6 rounds. Turned pro at the York Hall against Jake Pollard with a 4-round points win. November 2023. Yin Caicedo stopped him at the copper box. And quite a lively affair against Darwin Martinez. Martinez was in trouble. I have a note here saying Martinez in trouble in round 3 of that 4-rounder.
I read somewhere, Paul, he has got a plan B though. He's a qualified electrician. Sensible boy.
So Richie, will he be making the sparks fly in these last 2 rounds?
Well, listen, he's doing everything right up to now.
Could I just say to all our viewers on Fox Nation and YouTube, don't blame me if you didn't laugh at that.
Yeah.
But we tried really hard with that. We worked all day on that, didn't we?
You did, Paul.
No, we did, Richie. We did. Right, back to the plan A. Hickford wants to develop and become a force at featherweight. Very smart, though, isn't it, that he's actually got an awareness that there is a need to have a backup plan.
Yeah. Absolutely, but again, boxing well here. I'd still like to see him bring that right uppercut through the middle.
It's there for it. It really is.
Perez is wide open for it. But Perez there looking, throwing these big shots over the top. Young Hickford got to keep him straight. That limits the opportunities and chances then for Perez to land those bent arm shots.
I am watching Perez tonight thinking, you are fantastic at what you do though, Richie, because, you know, he got himself under pressure, didn't he, in third round into the fourth round, and he's come out now saying to himself, I need to give everybody a bit more, but starting with my opponent. I'm not going to let him really push me around here for the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, he's decent, isn't he, Perez? Let's face it. He's no pushover. He's dangerous, you know. If you box the wrong fight against this type of opponent, then you really bring him into it, and you can see that he springs the odd upset here and there.
Yes.
Because he's got power. Remember, he's got the 10 knockouts in the 13 victories that he's got. So you can see how fighters walk onto these right hands over the top. Most definitely, he's very dangerous.
That's pretty much the first time in this fight that Sean McAvoy has had to get in between them. Just a little reminder about the elbow to Perez. Perez reaching, overreaching. If he'd have been there, the right uppercut would have been tailor-made for him.
Yeah,
Richard.
I think so. I think that's the shot that he hasn't thrown with tonight, but that would work for me, Hickford. But there's been a lapse in concentration probably in this round. He's just allowed his opponent to get a little bit too close, and this is an indication of how dangerous Perez can be. Into that short and mid-range, when he's whipping those shots over, he's making it scrappy. The heads could clash, there could be a cut. This is his type of contest. It's time for Hickford to get back to his boxing. There you go, behind that straight jab. There you go, that's better. There you go, better boxing.
Jab, 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 almost like a chant from the corner. Everything off the jab.
Just allowed Perez back into the contest in this round for me. So I think the corner will give him a little bit of a roasting in there.
Little respectful touch from Hickford. He knows that Perez is a very capable operator. Is our timekeeper here tonight. 6th of 6 she calls. Back to it. Hickford corner want to see him work off that jab nice and tight, nice and sharp in this 6th round. Perez has other ideas. Can he get close? Can he land one of those right hands which have whizzed past the left ear roll of Hickford on quite a few occasions in this fight tonight?
There you go, that's how you nullify the attack and just stop the attack from happening. Just that straight jab. Good example there of Perez, just trying to start the attack off, and then the jabs in his face just stops everything in his tracks. Just a simple punch.
Relax and jab, they say in the corner.
And again, Paul, you must concentrate now in this last round, because Perez will just throw everything out the kitchen sink. That right hand over the top, there it is there. He knows he's behind, so the only chance of victory is for a knockout. But we know he's capable of that type of thing. So
yeah, definitely, Richie. Double figures knockout victories, Perez. So be watchful here, Charlie Hickford. As classy as you have been so far through this fight tonight. Little nick on the corner of the eye. I don't think it's relevant to what remains for Hickford. Left eye. Might have been off the strapping, perhaps, Richie, the tape. Or one of those right hands that missed narrowly. Might just have flicked him slightly. I think there's not concerned by it.
There's a cut, you see, Paul. We spoke about it earlier that when they come close with the heads, I think there's a cut for Hickford, left eye. That's a shame.
Be there with the jab, is what they're telling him.
Watch out for this right hand, Hickford. He keeps, again, Perez keeps looking at the body. There it is there, you see. He keeps looking at the chest and the body of Hickford, as if he's going to throw a body shot, and he's just looking for that right hand. But there you go, Hickford's having none of it. Keep the punches nice and straight.
Heading into the last 30 seconds. Hickford's managed his way through this last minute or two in this fight with a reasonable degree of comfort. Perez couldn't raise the pressure any. Hickford's really enjoyed that from the look of it. His first at 6 rounds. Plenty to think about. And another very solid showing from Jose Manuel Perez, even if surely in defeat tonight. Richie.
Well, again, good matchmaking, I think, because that was a decent opponent for young Charlie Hickford. But that was only his 4th fight, remember, and he's boxing someone with 10 knockouts on his record and 13 victories with 21 defeats. So, fair play. Very good matchmaking indeed. I like the way Hickford boxed. I think he boxed sensible. He had to concentrate for 6 3-minute rounds. When he boxed at range, he kept his opponent off balance with that straight jab, nice long straight right hand. I thought he boxed really, really well. But he'll learn a lot from that contest. Occasionally lapsing concentration, and he brought the other kid into it. He picked up a nick on his left eye at the end, which is a shame. But apart from that, that was a good display.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee scores the contest 58 points to 56. The winner in the blue corner from Medway Kid, classy Charlie Hickford. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the very brave and gallant Jose Manuel.
That's a good one
Perez.
for Charlie Hickford. He's shown his own people down here in the Kent region what he's all about, and indeed what he could become over the next few years. The background is good, the famous Recton ABC, several high points early in his career, 4-time national amateur champion, no less. We saw flashes of all of that, but Richie, I just don't know whether he could possibly have met anybody like Perez before tonight, do you?
No, I don't think he has.
And that's the value of it, really.
Yeah, I think, like I say, he's a really decent opponent because it made him think in every round. I think Perez was really dangerous in every round, Paul, with that right hand. And like I say, he's picked up a cut, which is a shame because it was scrappy at the end at times, but he had to concentrate. But overall, he's won the fight and he's won it well. But it was a learning fight for him, and I'd be pretty pleased with that performance against such an experienced opponent.
It's a really terrific reception all around, and I think we're going to be able to have a little word with him now.
That's 4 wins on the bounce at the beginning of your pro career, Charlie. Are you happy with that performance?
Listen, it's been a while since I've been in a ring. Not overly pleased with the performance. A win's a win, like you say. On to the next one. Just hopefully stay active now and get back 6 rounds. It's what I need. And against a tough man, you know, he's got a good knockout ratio. So we need more fights like that onto bigger and better things.
In your 5th fight, are we looking for a step up in opponent? Maybe really try to bring the best out of you, and maybe a title fight coming soon?
Hopefully, you know, that's the plan. It's down to my team. I've got the best team in boxing, you know, so it's a step at a time. I'm looking at hopefully a youth title end of the year would be nice. You know, you can get 8 round of ones and then a few 6s, and then hopefully get one of them end of the year.
Brilliant, thank you. Well done on your performance, mate.
Is that straight off?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Belarus, by way of Kazakhstan, Viktor Shivaku. Please welcome from Bromley, Kent, Ellis, Zoro. Ladies and gentlemen, next up this evening is a 6 3-minute rounds contest in the cruiserweight division. Firstly, in the red corner, with a record of 5 wins, 3 by way of knockout and 22 losses, weighing in 199 pounds 8 ounces, and tonight he wears the black shorts with gold trim. Please welcome from Belarus, by way of Kazakhstan, Victor Shivaku.
So rapidly on into fight number 3.
With 17 wins, 7 by way of knockout and 2 losses, weighing in 202 pounds, and tonight he wears the black and white shorts. Please welcome from Bromley, Kent, Ellis, Zoro. Your referee is Mr. Mark Bates, who will now give his final instructions to both boxers.
Okay, gentlemen, listen, when I tell you to break, you take a step back immediately. Get your punches up, obey my commands, and protect yourselves at all times. Good luck, lads. Tussles.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 3-minute rounds.
So who would ever have thought that here we would be on an Easter Thursday in Maidstone, in front of a packed but very, very small crowd, to tell the truth, in terms of world level boxing, that this would be the place and this would be the time that Ellis Zoro decided to start to rebuild his career. Very, very talented indeed, and a very explosive cruiserweight when it's all going well, in against Victor Shivaku tonight. Shivaku's a fighter who knows his way around. The question really, Richie, is whether Zoro knows the road ahead. It was all going so well for a couple of years, but massive defeats. They reach for the stars against the one and only Spatar in Saudi Arabia, no less. We understand huge money, which is obviously a big part of the equation for that job. But the next one perhaps hurts just as much. Spatar blew him away, but then he lost here back in Britain to Siobhan Clark. And for a while it looked like his whole world was falling apart. What now?
Well, he's got a lot of skill as Ellis Zoro, and yes, it was looking good at one stage in his career. But let's face it, it's taken 2 real good operators to beat him. Spatar, you know, in many people's books, he's one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world. So there's no harm in losing that one. And Chev Clark, listen, I know Chev Clark really, really well. Obviously, he went to the Olympics, and I worked with him for a few years, Chev. And he's really decent, you know, and look what he's gone on to win. He just felt falling short for the European title, but he's won the British title as Chev Clark, who's a really good kid. So he's lost to 2 good operators, Paul, but there's time for him. He's 32, but at this weight, he's still got time, and he has got decent skills. Lovely fast hands. He's got to get back to winning ways, yes. And there's still time for him, I think, Paul, because let's face it, at one point in his career, he looked really, really good when he was undefeated and he was going into those fights. So let's get back to that type of boxing, and he can still do it, Ellis Zoro.
Shivaku, another who featured on a card under the same promotional banner largely 3 weeks ago in Gibraltar. Went the full 6 rounds against Alonso Baradi. Never been stopped at cruiserweight, I'm told. He has 3 stoppage defeats, Richie, at heavyweight. Well, he's so big, isn't he? He could easily be a heavyweight any day of the week.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though, Paul, he's tailor-made here for the right-hand counter, or right-hand over the top from Zoro. If you watch Shivaku, he just keeps drifting around to his left. He's got occasionally his left hand just drops a little bit. So it's all about working the body for Zoro. Getting it there, there's the shot there. You see, that's not too far away, but don't show it too soon. work the body first, bring his elbows down, then whip it over. That's what I'd be doing anyway.
I've got a strange impression that in Shivaku's corner at the end of the round, he said, he nearly got me with that right hand, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't too far away. But Zoro, you know, like I say, you have to try and get him back to when he was boxing people like Hosea Burton. That was a good win. Dex Spellman, that was another cracking win.
Terrific.
He was looking really good at that stage in his career. You know, his confidence has taken a little bit of a denting, so we've got to get that back. But he's still got those skills, and like I say, now it's all about confidence and getting him back to winning ways.
Corners, 10 seconds. Seconds out, round 2.
Scheduled 6-3s at cruiserweight on the return of Ellis Zoro after a couple of torrid years. Hoping to prove A, that the talent remains, and B, that the mentality of a potential top fighter is still intact.
Just keep whipping this jab down to the body. That's what Zoro's got to do. And then bring the elbows down. Bring his opponent's elbows down, then whip that right hand over the top. But concentrate on that body, especially that straight jab. And take the attention away from that right hand. And then you bring him around and then you whip it over.
I'd love to know, Richie, just how much say Zoro has had in this opponent tonight. I don't know. I do know that there are many ways that can happen, that the fighter can say to the promoter, get me this guy or this guy, or somebody in the camp will say, get me this guy or this guy, or sometimes maybe from within the promotional operation they have a slightly different perspective, and that maybe saying to the fighter concerned, no, you need this kind of an opponent at this stage. So we don't know the answers, but Zoro is having a good think about it. I don't see that as a problem either, incidentally.
No, because, I mean, you've got to remember, last time he boxed was back in May, so he's been out of the ring nearly a year. So he needs, probably needs a few rounds under his belt. If he gets the job done quicker, then that's the bonus. But he's in against an opponent again. It's decent matchmaking. He's only been stopped 3 times in the 22 defeats, remember, Shivaku. So he's a decent boxer. He's a tough kid. And, you know, he's won 5 contests himself. So I think this is a decent comeback opponent. That's the shot there, that jab. Keep whipping that jab downstairs and take that attention then away from that right hand over the top. But like I say, they probably matched him here to get a few rounds under his belt. But like I say, if you can get the stoppage, then that's a bonus.
With that jab downstairs, Richie, sometimes I look at fighters and I think to myself, he's reluctant to throw it because he thinks I look a bit stupid if I don't connect. And what would you say to a fighter who came back to the corner and said, I'm not finding him with the shot, I'm not going to try it anymore?
Well, if you're not finding him with that shot, it's because you're not confident with the shot. You've got to be really, really confident in your technique.
Keep believing that you will make it pay.
But what you have to do, Paul, as well, is concentrate on landing the shot when the arm's straight, not when the arm's bent. So if the arm's bent, then there's a chance he could catch you with maybe an uppercut or a shorter range punch. So keep the punch nice and long and straight. That then creates a gap between you and your opponent. But like I say, it brings the elbows down. And if you keep concentrating on that shot, that's when you can whip the right hand over, like that one there.
That was nice.
And that's when you'll connect with it.
Shivaku took it well. He also took a little ticking off from referee Mark Bates in the latter part of the round. Kind of goes without saying on nights like this, where pretty much everybody who walks into the building is a proper boxing fan, but they're looking at this with great intensity, even if he's not technically a local Zoro compared to some of the Maidstone, Rochester fighters on the card tonight. He's not from far away, probably in southeast London. It's about 6 stops away on the railway up toward London. but they know they've got a classy man in the house, and I think they're hoping that he proves that here.
Seconds out, round 3.
First 2 rounds of the comeback complete. Good flashes of work so far from Ellis Zoro.
I always say to boxers, Paul, when you've got better speed, when you're quicker than the opponent, when your technique and skill set is at a higher level than your opponent, break the opponent down with your boxing skills, because then the opportunities and openings will come. Don't be dragged down to their level, holding your feet and bringing them into its short range work, where that's the only chance they've got of landing a shot. Totally outbox them. If you can outbox the opponent, that's what you should be doing. Hit and move, make him miss, hit the opponent and don't get hit, and frustrate him, because then he will make mistakes by coming forward and leaving himself open, and then you can pick him off with better shots. But break him down with the skill, because boxing is about skills, and that's what you have to do, Paul, in contests, is break the opponent down with the skills and make him frustrated, and then that's when more opportunities and openings will come.
Perhaps cognizant of all that, Shivaku's doing his very best to start to mess and spoil.
Yeah. That's where he's in with the shout, you see, Shivaku. When he's up close, he can make things rough and tough. You know, he can follow through with punches. It happens with elbows, all sorts.
Shoulders.
Heads go in, shove a lot when it's up close. You've got to limit the opponent's opportunities, Paul.
Sometimes this jab looks really good, doesn't it, from Zoro?
Yeah, he's got speed. He's got accuracy with that shot as well. There's that right hand, you see, but that's when you've got to whip that shot downstairs and then just whip it over then, right hand over the top. He's made for it, Shivaku. You can see that low lead hand drifting round to the left. So that's what I'd like to see Ellis Zoro work out for himself and then deliver that shot.
It's been decent, though, so far, Richie, hasn't it?
Worked
from
well
Zoro.
He's worked well with the jab. And like I say, because he's been out of the ring for so long, he probably needs a few rounds under his belt.
Normally the case, of course, there's a lot of other stuff that goes around a fighter who has burnt brightly but then goes out like a meteorite suddenly for any one of a multiple number of reasons. And he was certainly being projected as something of a star vehicle. I think a lot of that the star dust will have fallen away, Richie. Now he's finding out about the pro game properly, Ellis Zoro. Again, I say, I think it's largely a very solid workman-like display tonight so far.
Making a little bit scrappy on the inside here and there, Paul, but when he boxes at distance, he boxes well. But he'll want to look good tonight, won't he? You look at the top British cruisers, the Chris Billam Smiths, the Richard Rapport, Chev Clark, Jack Massey, Fidel Riley. There's a whole host of them. You know, he wants to be in the mix. He's out of that mix at the moment. He's on the fringes of those. So you need to look good tonight. And like I say, get back to winning ways and get back to boxing regular again.
Yeah. This might sound pretty weird even for me though, Richie. Maybe if he didn't look quite so good tonight, it might make one of those big names that you spoke. You go down all the way down to, Alois Jr. or Isaac Chamberlain. Any of those guys may say, let's get him on our record now. I'm seeing a lot of potential in him still.
Yeah,
here
he's
tonight.
behind them, isn't he? He's behind the Callum
He is
Johnson,
at the moment, that's the reality.
Alois Jr., Isaac Chamberlain. They're really good
Seconds
kids.
out.
And he's just behind that pack.
Yeah.
So yes, someone might give him a shot, you never know.
And it might just be what he needs at the moment.
But he needs a confidence booster, Paul.
Okay. So
he needs to look, for me, he want to look good tonight and get his confidence back to where it should be.
Had one or two little reality checks against Victor Shivaku so hard here tonight, Ellis Zoro. What I will echo, Richie, from what you've just said there is I'd really like to see him close the show in this fight, that's to say, over what remains, maybe find another gear. That would really do the job I think you're looking for.
Definitely. I think so, Paul. Stick with tempo. What he's going to try now, he's making a little bit scrappy. That might be a little bit of tiredness of both boxers. So he's got to concentrate a little bit here now and go through the gears a little bit more and just maintain that gap. And he'll maintain that gap with that jab. So that's the shot that he's just got to keep concentrating on, whipping that jab, occasionally downstairs, but just keeping and maintaining the distance and the gap between himself and Shivaku.
Clubbing right hand aimed at the chest or thereabouts for Zoro. Clubbing right hand over the top. They're all slow, but some of them are slow landing bags of cement, really, aren't they?
Yeah,
some of them.
Paul, I wouldn't like to do it with
me neither, thank you very much. And I think Zoro's aware of that now, Richie, a little bit.
Just got to, again, box distance a little bit more. He could bring his opponent onto a shot now. Shivaku's getting a little bit more confident, coming forward. Look, he's wide open there for a counter. So it's all about concentration and bringing him over his front foot like he did there, and then bringing him onto a solid right hand, either up through the middle as an uppercut or a chopping right hand on the chin as he's coming forward.
Now, Mark Bates has given him one stern talking to already tonight, and he's not in any mood to be messed around. And Shivaku's now dropped a point. And he says to him at the end of it, don't try on with me. So Shivaku withdraws to a respectful distance from the outside, and he boxes a little bit, which shows what he can do. So Zoro's won that round without boxing particularly well.
No.
He's done a proper job of messing him around, though, in this round, has Victor Shivaku.
Yeah, he has done his job, indeed. Like I said, Paul, maybe tonight is a night for Zoro to get a few rounds under his belt. He's certainly feeling a little bit tired now, and that's the signs that he's been out of the ring for a while.
Can I ask you, Rich, if you were bringing somebody like Zoro back, is it possible to get the sharpness by saying, right, we're actually going to have 12 rounds behind closed doors in the gym?
Well,
and you're going to work.
You're going to work.
What do you think? Is there ever a replacement for fight night?
No, there isn't a replacement for fight night. You can do all the sparring, Paul. You can spar 12 rounds in the gym, and he can be more tired in a 6-rounder than he does in the 12-round spar.
Round 5.
Because it's the small gloves, it's the tension beforehand, it's the nerves. You know, boxers get nervous, they don't even realise they're being nervous. It's burning up nervous tension. There's nothing like the fight contest situation. Nothing. Not even sparring. Sparring's the closest thing to it. But like I said, he can be more tired in a 6-rounder than he can be in a 12-round spar.
This is round 5 of the scheduled 6. Shivaku, true to type, true to form. This year's chairman of the Awkward Club, I think.
Yeah, he's very awkward. He's doing his job here, Shivaku. He thinks awkward on the inside, roughing his opponent up, and senses occasionally that I think Zoro may be feeling the pace a little bit. He's slowing things down, and Shivaku, fair play to him, he's sensing that and then's coming forward and closing that gap, and then he's being awkward again on the inside. So again, a decent opponent here. He's just tired over these last couple of rounds,
yes.
Ellis Zoro. That's what's happened.
Certainly, it's not looked as convincing, I'm afraid, over the last 6 minutes or so. And of course, the problem with Shivaku is he's also 110% match fit, Richie, because he's boxed 3 weeks ago in Gibraltar.
Yeah, but your 4th contest this year, isn't it, already?
And even on the scales, that was suggested. Under 200 pound. Not quite playing out here tonight as Ellis Zoro would surely have wished.
No, it's like I say, these last couple of rounds, he's just I think he's feeling the pace a little bit, and that's because he's been out of the ring for so long. Most definitely, he's winning the contest, but he's not been that convincing, has he, in these last couple of rounds? Most
Richie,
certainly.
has Shivaku taken a round, do you think? Well, obviously he was unlikely to win the last round because of the point deduction.
Yeah.
What about in this round?
Yeah, I think he's done okay in this round, actually, Shivaku. I thought he actually did well in the last round, but obviously he got the point deducted. If he hadn't have had that point deducted, I think he may have won that round.
Kind of the reason I'm asking, you know, and I don't think the W is in any doubt overall if we go on like this for Zoro, but the buzz, the little bit of expectation and excitement that he provided early on to this crowd, we're not seeing much of that kind of thing late in this contest. A decent left hand just before the bell to end the 5th round, but a bit leaden-footed.
So I'd like to see Ellis Zoro just pick himself up a little bit now. The corner will be telling him that. Let's finish the round and the contest nice and strong now. So let's go through the gears, let's up the pace and look good towards the end of this contest now.
Seconds out, 6th and final round.
Mark Bates puts them to work. Ellis Zoro could do with getting back to work, closing the show properly, like a potential star would do in this cruiserweight division, with so many talented fighters ahead of him in the queue suddenly, while he's been detained and disappointed over the last couple of years. The lineup has got stronger, deeper. Many believe, myself included, that Zoro can still be a force, but I think Richie's point is there's not a night where you can have an off night now.
No, at 32 now for Zoro, it's all about in boxing regularly and taking his opportunities and looking good. He's had a spell out of the ring, so this contest tonight may have served the purpose in that it's given him 6 threes up to now anyway. And you know, he looked tired last couple of rounds, but you know, he's won most of these rounds, so this contest is really important for him to come back into, and like I say, it's serving a purpose to get him some rounds under his belt. But at 32, still time for him, and he's got to kick on, and it's a strong division domestically. It's a great division for British boxing, but he wants to be up there with those boxers, and he's got a lot of good skills, Paul. Got some decent speed amongst him, and I think he's a decent puncher also.
Yes, definitely.
So he's still got a future in this division in the UK, most definitely.
That's better. That's right into the Zoro corner. Shivaku was aware of that, just slid down the rope a little way, but can't get off the rope just now.
I haven't seen that right hand from him for a while.
I was going to say, Richard.
Yeah, but he's brought it into play here. See, he should be punishing Shivaku there, just making him miss, stepping back, and then he didn't. Made him come into the space, but didn't punish him. Should have punished him there.
I'm getting the impression that you think a lot of this sluggishness is actually down to overall top-level fitness and conditioning, and the only way to get that back is to do these rounds.
Exactly, get the rounds under your belt. And maybe he's looked sluggish occasionally here tonight, and that's mainly because he's been out for such a long time. Like I say, he boxed in May, remember, against Chev Clark, his last one.
Yeah.
So he's been out for a while, and he's showing signs of that. But nevertheless, He's back to winning ways, hopefully, if he gets through this round.
We've seen that before tonight from Victor Shivaku. Effective in his own way. Effective in making Zoro think pretty hard about the job. Think pretty hard whether he really wants this at the top level again. Big show of speed to close it up. In flashes early on. Ellis Zoro really looked quite impressive on this comeback tonight. The tempo dropped. The accuracy waned a little bit. Shivaku was able to get on top of him and spoil him and frustrate him to a degree. So Richie, I'm kind of asking you to come in and complete the analysis, maybe with a score out of 10 for the overall performance from Ellis Zoro tonight. What would you say?
I'd probably give him a 6 or a 7, because there's still lots more to come from him, I think. But I think he'll be relieved tonight more than anything to get 6 rounds under his belt. We know he can box a lot better than that, but having said that, Paul, he's won the contest fairly comfortable for me, so you can't be too disappointed, really, when you've won a contest the way he's won it. But we know he can box a lot better, and he's going to have to box a lot better, because in this division he's going to be coming up against a lot better opponents if he wants to reach the top. But nevertheless, I think he's back to winning ways, and that's a positive move for him, most definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee scores the contest 59 points to 54. The winner in the blue corner from Bromley, Kent, Ellis Zoro. And please, a hand for Victor Shivaku.
So that kind of gives us the impression that maybe Shivaku picked up something at some point, which would have been deserved, I think, Richie. But it's a solid W, pass marks for Ellis Zoro tonight on his return. And there's a lot of people who wish him well and hope that he can get himself back into the top echelon. There's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of cash on the table at the moment for some big fights at cruiserweight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Manchester by way of Italy, Elliot Adai.
Elliot Adai makes his way out. Adai has made the trip from Manchester, not finding it easy to win. Only one victory.
And please welcome from Tenterden, Kent, Jimmy Dean Wood.
And it might not surprise you to know there's a lot of local interest in Jimmy Dean Wood here in Maidstone. It's his pro debut. He's 20 years of age. He's actually from Tenterden, about 20 miles away, across the Garden County. And how beautiful it looked in the spring sunshine today. The Kent club's ABC now turning pro after a pretty impressive amateur career.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next bout this evening is a 4 3-minute rounds contest in the super welterweight division. Firstly, fighting out of the red corner with 1 win and 10 losses, weighing in at 153 pounds 5 ounces, and tonight he wears the red and white shorts. Please welcome from Manchester by way of Italy, Elliot Adai. And across the ring in the blue corner, making his professional debut this evening, weighing in 154 pounds 2 ounces, and tonight he wears the sky blue and white shorts. Please welcome from Tenterden, Kent, Jimmy Dean Wood. Your referee is Bernard Elliot, is now going to give his final instructions to both boxers.
All right, gentlemen, let's keep everything clean and stay professional at all times. When I say break, you take a step back, okay? Protect yourself at all times. Good luck. Touch glove.
Ladies and gentlemen, 4 3-minute rounds.
So under the supervision of probationary referee Bernard Oyet here in Maidstone tonight. A referee for the future, we hope, and we wish him well. A young man at super welterweight for the future, potentially, in Jimmy Dean Wood. Fighting out of Maidstone, our host here tonight at Ballin, the nightclub converted into a boxing venue. We spoke to him, Richie, when he arrived, along with Alan Smith a couple of hours ago. I thought he looked fairly composed, not as nervous as some on their pro debuts, but we'll now find out.
Up against an opponent who's never been stopped either, Paul, so again, just have to see how Wood copes with this one. Two southpaw, oh, that's nice. Just as I say, that lovely 1-2 and the right hook from Wood. That was a bit of class, that was.
Jimmy Dean, classy looking. I could see the resemblance, actually. He said jealously.
Yeah. He started quite confident. Looking over that jab, bringing that hook into play when he gets close enough. The boy Bay looks pretty dangerous himself, Paul. He's had 10 defeats and only the 1 victory, but you can see that there's something about him, but here he's just being caught with better punches there from Wood.
One way of putting it, Rich. Again, good matchmaking, but it looks to me like Elliot Bay is a fellow who doesn't mind a fight. But he's not very sound defensively. Could be exciting, this one.
Good boxing from Wood there. Just got to keep that jab flicking out. And he sets up his backhand very well behind that lead hand. There it is there, lovely.
They took that pretty well, Richie. I thought he was perhaps for a millisecond thinking touching down, but he walked away from it relatively unscathed. But it was a stinging shot. He's very open, and Wood is very aware of that.
Yeah. There's a good bit of boxing actually there from Wood, because the first shot, when he actually caught him with the left hand, the first shot was like a long right hook, if you like. So
yes.
He changed the angle from a jab into that long hook and then brought the left hand through. And Bud Bay wasn't really expecting that, but he's been outboxed here. And Wood is boxing really, really well. You can see he's been well schooled, has Wood. So this is a decent opening round up to now.
Bay hardly discouraged at all from being very much the away fighter tonight and taking some very stiff shots in this opening round. Acknowledges 1 or 2 of them as well. What a good start to a pro career that was from Jimmy Dean Wood.
Technique and accuracy there and timing was spot on from Wood. Some lovely boxing from him. Yeah, I was really impressed, especially behind his lead hand also. Good boxing there in the opening round.
Wood has got some real expertise in the corner. Eddie Lamb just working from the outside. Just a little bit of end swell in use. I don't think there's anything to worry about from Eddie Lamb, but it's Alan Smith, the one and only, doing the talking.
Got a fair stable of boxers now, hasn't he?
They really do, Richie.
Very good coach indeed. Good team behind him also.
Alan Smith is now at the stage in his career where he's got talented kids knocking on his door and he says, I haven't got room.
Yeah.
Good response from Ebioge. He's not here just to roll over tonight on the pro debut of Jimmy Dean Wood. Good start to this second round from him.
Yeah, he's come out swinging, hasn't he? Taking it to Wood. So good response. Again, Wood can't rest on his laurels. Got to get back to that sharp work that we've seen in the opening round.
That's the official welcome to professional boxing right there, isn't it, Richie?
Absolutely. I say to many amateurs that turn pro, I say, look, you know, you'll probably be streets ahead of your opponents in terms of the skills, but they will literally, the punches will bounce off them and they'll just keep coming. It's about staying composed, you know, relying on your fitness and just keep it going. But the main difference between amateur and pro boxing is that the opponents are so much tougher.
You said
they'll
it.
just keep coming.
You said it. Maybe he was feeling charitable in just donating the first round, but down to business now. Wood recognises that. He's sharpened up, he's straightened it up, hasn't he? That's what I like, Richie, after that sharp start to this second round from the opponent. Wood just straightened everything up there for a minute. Tightened everything up.
Yeah, he just allowed Adai just to get closer to him in this round, Paul. So he's got to get back on that jab a little bit. So he's got to concentrate a little bit more and box at distance. See Adai then, he's just coming back, but he's closing that gap, and that gives him the odd opportunity and chance on the inside. Fairly strong, this opponent is. So Wood got to get back to his boxing.
It's just the kind of pressure that I guess I'm pretty confident in saying he was a good amateur, national titles, Tri-Nations events, etc. But you just don't meet that kind of test compared to this.
Like I say, Paul, I say to a lot of amateurs that go pro, I say it's more mental than physical, really. I say, because you'll break the opponents down with the skills, but they'll just keep coming. And sometimes, you know, you can panic here and there if you're not confident in your own fitness. The opponent just keep hitting with your best shot. They just keep coming forward.
Yep.
But you've got to have confidence in your ability, in your fitness, and just if they keep coming, you keep hitting them. That's it. And the boy back here, he's a strong kid. He's taken a lot of shots. He's had a little bit of success in this round.
Peekaboo guard at times.
There you go.
Once you get past that guard, he's very, very open. There's a lot of target for Wood. Crowd are right behind Jimmy Dean Wood, and they like what they see. They like the excitement level in this fight, and it's a very good one, I must say. Halfway already.
Yeah, tremendous contest for Jimmy Dean Wood in particular, on his debut against a tough opponent who really came out swinging in the start of this round. And you've got to remember, this fella's never been stopped, Boy Bay. He's tough, keeps coming. He's not as skillful as Wood, but nevertheless, you know, he makes up for it in sheer grit and determination, so it's a good contest.
You can't jump in the puddles without getting wet sometimes. It has to be done better than it's done on your pro debut in a lively contest. You're not going to come out of it with many delusions if you're Jimmy Dean Wood, who's boxed well through the first couple of minutes of his pro career, the 6 minutes in total. But he's in a fight here against Elliot Abiogbe.
Super shot that was. One of the best of the contest so far. Just brings him onto that sort of hook, right hook of his. And again, lovely shot as the opponent's coming forward. The boy Bay just occasionally as he's coming forward, Paul, makes the mistake of dropping his left hand. And Woods picked up on it and he's bringing him onto that right hook as he's coming over the front foot. So Boy Bay's got to keep his left hand much higher as he's coming forward. Keeps walking onto that right hook. That's a great shot from Wood.
Pace has hardly dropped. I just don't know whether Abiogbe is just resting before trying to lift it again, Richie, or whether he's starting to feel the pace a little bit.
Well, both boxers are a little bit open when they're in at close quarters, but it seems to be Wood that's landing the quality shots on the inside now.
Yeah.
So, you know, his technique's a little bit better than Avoid Bay. He's a little bit ragged here and there, and, you know, he's rough on the inside, Avoid Bay. But certainly Wood, those quality shots, especially with that hook, that's impressive up close.
I'll say this, Rich. Hopefully it's going to be the start of a terrific career for Jimmy Dean Wood. But it wouldn't surprise me if in 5 years' time he were to tell us, first 8 fights I had, the hardest was my pro debut.
Absolutely. Oh, again, lovely. You can expect that right hook after the left hand that Wood throws. He throws it with a lot of intent, the left hand, and gets him into a nice natural position then to come back with the right
brilliant
hook. Yeah, good shot again.
And now Ebebe really is. I suspected it, but now we're seeing it. He's starting to feel the pace here.
Yeah.
Still a long way to go in this third round.
Just delivered a little shot of his own though there, Avoid Bay.
It's a cracking 4 round of this, Richie, isn't it?
Just the quality of the punching is better from Wood, you see, Paul.
Yeah.
The snapping, the shot, the accuracy. Just better quality work from Wood. There he is again, comes back with that right hook after that left hand that he throws Wood. Didn't hit the target on that occasion.
Ebebe wore the last of those left hands pretty well, but what a good round it seemed to be for Jimmy Dean Wood.
The only thing I'd say, Paul, he's got to watch out for is when they're in close and the heads come close. There could be a head clash. He's got to watch out for that. Well, I think he's boxing well. Against a tough kid, tough opponent. You can see how he's never been stopped. Got a great chin, Avoid Bay.
I think what we're seeing from Alan Smith in one sentence is don't do anything silly in this last round. You've done well, but he's still in there, this guy. Ebebe, he's still dangerous. Respect that.
Yeah, he certainly is. I'd like to see the odd left uppercut come to the middle now from Wood also. I think that's a shot that he could land with, but the right hook tonight has been his best punch for me. Most dangerous shot, should I say. He's got a lovely jab as Wood. That's good. He's not falling in, you see. Not falling in, Wood. Gets caught with the odd shot there, but that just shows you that the quality of his opponent also is decent, isn't he? But nevertheless, he's just maintaining that gap. So that little step back there, just to maintain things. He's listening to his corner here. Yeah,
that's exactly what Alan Smith was talking about between the rounds there, Richie. Managing the minutes, if you like, in this pro debut appearance tonight here, Jimmy Dean Wood. Managing the job pretty well, but there's still danger for him.
Yeah, good work. Not falling in, just maintaining the gap, keeping his balance. You won't get many tougher debuts than this, Paul.
I'll say that again, Richie, for sure.
It's a tough debut, this is. But fair play, he's handled it really well.
Elliot, Ebebe has got about minute 30, a little bit less than that, to ruin the debut, ruin the party for a while here in this nightclub arena in Maidstone, ruin the mood for a while, and he looks like he's willing to try for everything. Wood found him there well enough, and again, smart, doesn't follow his work in, resets from the outside.
And decent on the inside as well with that right hook of his. Yeah, I think it's been a good all-round performance here. It's been an exciting 4-round contest this one.
Really has. Great matchmaking. He's still so strong, isn't he? Brilliant conditioning.
Yeah, definitely. See how he brought his shoulder in as well there afterwards. So a good learning contest as well for
Exactly,
Wood.
Richie. That would have been paused in the amateurs, wouldn't it?
Yep, absolutely. He'd been told off for that.
This is a different game altogether in every sense. Last 10 seconds. Wood largely the more impressive, the sharper puncher, but Ebiong Bey keeps him busy right to the finish, and the crowd rises here in Maidstone to one of their own on his pro debut in what was an excellent 4-round contest.
Great debut that was, Paul, for young Jimmy Dean Wood. Super 4 rounds for him against a tough opponent. I thought he boxed really well at range behind that jab. He's got a lovely straight left hand, and then when he throws that left hand, he brings the hooks to follow, and he's landed with that shot many times. He also worked well on the inside, and he showed good ring intelligence in and out with the feet. Listen to his corner. So there was some really he ticked most boxes there, did young Jimmy Dean Wood. Listen to his corner also. That was a good display for a first 4-rounder. His debut, and like I say, you won't get any tougher than that, but he come through it flying colours for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee scores the contest 40 points to 36. The winner in the blue corner from Tenterton, Kent, Jimmy Dean Wood.
I don't know what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause
in the
for
Garden
the
County, but
Elliot
I like it, and
rugby.
I'd like more of it, and I'd like to see more of Jimmy Dean Wood the next time we come back. One of their own. What an excellent start to his professional career here tonight. He's only 20 years of age, turned 21 in the summer, and the talent is very obvious indeed.
I think he showed a lot of skill and a lot of ring intelligence for someone who's just 20 years of age. He's handled the occasion really well. Alan Smith and his team have got a real talent there, and he's got a big future. And if he trains hard, listen to his coach, then yeah, he could go places. Lots of natural talent, and yeah, I like what I saw there, Paul. Good kid.
So flushed with victory, we can have a word with the young man himself, and I think also with Alan Smith.
Jimmy, what starts your pro career with a big win here in Maidstone? Talk me through your performance there.
I want to thank everybody that come out tonight and supported me, and everybody obviously who had me back and showed me coach. I want to say thank you very much to everyone that come out.
Is it straight back to the gym and try find a second fight soon for you?
Straight back into the gym, learn on my mistakes. Obviously, I thought I had a good performance. Still a lot to learn, but back into the gym and see where we go from there.
And where do you want to see yourself at the end of 2025?
Listen, I ain't one of these I want to make big improvements and go world champion at a young age, but I just want to take one step at a time, like I said, and go from there.
Perfect. Well done on your performance, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the ring from Sofia, Bulgaria, Ivanka Ianova. And please welcome from Medway, Kent, Ruth.
It's not.
Ladies and gentlemen, next bout this evening is 4 2-minute rounds. Firstly, out of the red corner, with over 40 contests, her name weighing in 117 pounds 5 ounces, and tonight she wears the black shorts. Please welcome from Sofia, Bulgaria, Ivanka Ivanova. And across the ring in the blue corner with one lost name weighing in 118 pounds 2 ounces, and tonight she wears the turquoise shorts. Please welcome from Medway, Kent, Ruth Relentless Huntley. Your referee in charge is Sean McAvoy. He will now give his final instructions to both boxers. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be 4 2-minute rounds.
Originally.
Okay, this is 4 rounds. Keep it clean at all times, keep yourself protected at all times. Touch close, here we go, good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, 4 2-minute rounds.
Originally.
Seconds out, round 1.
So here we go. It was originally one of 2 female contests on this card tonight. Very sadly, what shaped to be one of the fights of the night for me has been pulled very, very late notice because of illness. The fight between 2 very talented world-class women, and here we are instead with relentless Ruth Huntley, just 18 years of age, but another local prospect. She lost on her pro debut back in January against Zoro Oshagi of Hungary. In here tonight against Ivanka Ivanova, the Bulgarian, who has 6 professional wins. To put that in context, out of 40 pro fights, but stopped only 3 times. So rounds is one thing, Rich. Getting a W wouldn't help as well for Huntley.
Yeah, she's in against a very experienced boxer here in Ivanova, a Bulgarian. Strong, tough, keeps coming forward. But Ruth Huntley got some nice skills. Got to try again box at distance against this opponent, who seems to be a little bit more compact and better on the inside. So she'll prefer a fight up close, Ivanova. So Ruth Huntley, all about keeping that at bay with those nice fast jabs and straight right hands. And just watch for this opponent on the inside, because that's when she may have a bit of success with those hooks, Ivanova.
This is a super flyweight contest. I understand there's a bit of a doubt whether Huntley should be aimed at flyweight or super flyweight. This has been a reasonable start for me, Richie, from Ruth Huntley, for one reason. She lost her pro debut, but she's come out in a very positive mindset here.
I think she has, and she's come up against a very experienced opponent, so it's not too bad a round for her. Ruth Huntley, I think it was a close round, but again, she's up against someone who she's got to box the right way here. She's got to box for me at distance, and she's got to limit her opponent's opportunities on the inside, who's a strong opponent. But that was a fairly confident start from young Ruth Huntley.
Not that surprising, Richie, if one delves into her amateur pedigree, actually. Junior title she won in 2021. 5 fights. She won 4 of them in the first round. So that's the mentality, isn't it?
Yeah, she can dig a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
She's confident early on in the contest. She's got to carry that through now.
But as you've said earlier, some of the action we've been watching here, this is professional boxing. It's all very different indeed.
Round 2.
Mainly because of the mindset of the opponent. And we've already seen that again tonight from Ivanova.
only been stopped 3 times in 30 defeats, remember, Ivanova, so she's as tough as they come. But I just think Ruth Huntley's got some lovely skills about her. And Ivanova, you know she's going to come forward, Paul. She's one of these aggressive type of boxers who comes forward on that front foot. And so Ruth Huntley here can just pick her punches, bring her onto those quality shots. Don't go back to the ropes, try and hold the centre of the ring, the boxing ring space. Because Ivanova will prefer to try and push Huntley back onto the ropes and restrict that movement.
Certainly not having it all her own way in this second round. That's what comes with experience, of course, from Ivanova's point of view. She's had a little look, she's felt what the opponent's got, sized her up, and already working on remedies here.
Huntley just got to use the jab a little bit more, just to measure that distance and gap, and then bring the opponent onto the shots. Because, like I say, you know Ivanova's going to come forward at some point. So keep popping that jab, maintaining that gap, wait for the attack to come. See, there she comes again, and then just bring her onto the better quality shot.
Decent short right-handed that exchange, but Huntley smartly gave a bit of ground there, and now she attempts to put that right. She wasn't going to be held up in the middle of the ring in an arm lock, that's for sure. She forced her opponent back to the rope, but this is not one-sided, Richie, is it?
No, not at all. Ivanova, you know, she's in this contest every step of the way. I just think the better quality work's coming from Huntley. But again, they're fairly close rounds, Paul. Ivanova, remember, she's had 10 contests in the UK. She's only won the one, 7 defeats and 2 draws. But those 2 draws may have been wins, mayn't they, if she's the away boxer.
There's a little nick which Robert Warren is working on right now, and maybe more than one nick, Richie. Robert Warren was spending a lot of time looking at the eyelid. I don't like the look of the cut on the left eyelid of Huntley. It's not bad now, but it's the kind of cut that can get bad very quickly indeed. As expert as Mr. Warren may be, and he certainly is an expert.
Well, that can dictate tactics most certainly. She's got to protect that cut now, and the corner will be telling her that. So she's got to box at distance just a little bit more and watch for the head of Ivanova as she comes forward.
It's an action-packed 4-round, 2-minute sprint job, this. But echoing Richie's point, I think giving herself as much distance as possible would be a good idea. Part of the problem being, fighters will think, how bad is that cut?
Especially
if you put a round under your belt, Richie, and it stays okay, then you're going to feel better about it again, aren't you?
Exactly, yeah. What she's got to do here is just make things a little bit more difficult for Ivanova.
And a bit easier on herself.
Yeah, hit and move, Paul, here. Ivanova, you can see, she's just waiting, then she springs the attack. We'll just keep hitting and moving and keep mobile, side to side, so she can't then set for an attack. And just keep popping that jab out. At some point she'll come forward and then get the timing right to bring her onto the right hand. She's got to avoid this type of work, especially with the cut now, you see.
She's getting a telling off now, Rich. I wonder whether it might have caused it.
Yeah.
All that chafing with the wristband and the tape and so on. Yeah, and rightly, this is a proper telling off from Sean McAvoy. Roll and jab in the corner, that's what they're telling Huntley, and that's good advice. And she's trying, she is trying.
I think keeping the punches straight as well, Paul, I think is something that she's got to... Because with the bent arm shots, well, obviously you're in punching range then, and there's more chance of the opponent landing a shot when it's bent arm work, short to mid-range. So again, keep that jab nice and straight, and try and maintain the gap.
Overall, Richard, I think at this early stage in Ruth Huntley's career, first time I've ever seen her admitted, the defences are going to need to be tighter, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and occasionally she's just choosing the wrong style of boxing. She's just allowing the opponent to get a little bit too close, and she's trying to trade with her on the inside. So, see again, bent arm work.
Is some of that down to anxiety, do you think?
It might be, Paul.
Bit too keen to impress.
Bit keen to impress. She might just want to tear up herself. Boxers are like that sometimes.
Yes.
You know, they're individuals and they are what they are. And sometimes they just like to fight.
My goodness me, Ivanova's a proper operator, isn't she?
She's tough, Paul, isn't she? No doubt about it. 6 contests last year she had. So she boxes regular and she's in good form.
The art of being a good cut man demonstrated tonight by Robert Warren.
Corners, 10 seconds.
Didn't even come close to warranting attention from the referee there with the use of the Vaseline, Richard. No. And we've seen a few that have.
Well, this is a fairly close contest, Paul, so she needs a good round here, I think, Ruth Huntley.
Of course, one of the tricks of the trade, seen many a time in a big championship fight when the pressure's really on, is the top, nearly out over the middle rope there. Ivanova. And again, this is it. Completely as we forecast, I must say, Richie, don't get it right me very often, but she was a bit concerned about the eye after what happened in the second round, took the third round more cautiously. Now she's more confident again to be the pressure fighter.
Yeah, pressure. I think that's in her natural style and her nature, Paul, as a boxer. Ruth Huntley likes to go forward herself and likes to trade with the opponent. And will probably be in many exciting contests because that's what the crowds like to see.
Absolutely.
Toe-to-toe battles.
Crowd are loving this tonight. Here at Ballin nightclub, multi-purpose entertainment venue. I understand great boxing on the big screens and even the odd-nighter for the boxing fans in this part of Kent. Brilliant stuff. Great reception we had from everybody involved here today. Live on Box Nation, on YouTube, and a very lively nights of action it has been so far.
I'll tell you what is quite rare as well, Paul. You don't see many contests with the fighters having their hair so long and that being allowed.
I was going to say, yeah.
That can be a problem for both boxers, can't it? Really. So you don't see that very often.
Last few seconds, sadly, the big super bantamweight women's fight between two world-class operators, Joanna Wanyu and Margarine Rivas, had to be pulled at a very late notice because of illness, but this one has been very fiery indeed at super flyweight between relentless Ruth Huntley and Ivanka Ivanova, and most certainly Huntley did not have it all her own way. Immediately Robert Warren again just making sure long term that the eye is not going to impede on her progress, getting back in the ring as soon as possible. What was your view of the showing tonight, Richard?
I think she's won the contest, Paul, but I don't think there's a lot in here. I think her natural instincts came out, especially in that last round. You can see she's a natural fighter. She likes to have a bit of a tear-up, does Ruth Huntley on the inside. I think she's got decent technique. I think she can box better, but nevertheless she wants to get that win. Let's have a listen.
Gentlemen, your referee scores the contest 40 points to 36. The winner in the blue corner from Nutley, Kent, Ruth Relentless Huntley.
So it's a first professional victory for Ruth Huntley. We wish her very, very well. It's only the start of the long journey, hopefully toward the very top. The road is hard and it can be long, but if she was discouraged after losing on her pro debut back in January, she shouldn't believe that that can necessarily limit her ambition. Just remember Bernard Hopkins, Alexis Arguello, Miguel Cotto, Benny Lynch, Johnny Nelson, to name only some of the world stars of boxing who started with a professional defeat. So we wish her well, and a good job tonight from the opponent, Ivanka Ivanova. But let's speak now to our winner, and what a hand she's getting.
Ruth, it wasn't your night last time out, but you've come back here in Maidstone with a great performance and a great win. How do you feel about it?
It's unbelievable. I think I've bettered my performances last time, learnt a lot, you can tell in the fight.
Perfect. I was going to ask your manager, Sonny, a question. Ruth's changed trainers for this fight. How crucial has that been in a performance and getting back to winning ways?
Well, I think the new team around her now, she's smiling a lot. She's a lot more calmer. Still developing. We're going to see better performances for her as she goes along, but it's a great start, great team. We're looking forward to where the future holds for Ruth.
Perfect. Well done on your performance, Ruth.
Right, out this way.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the ring from Germany by way of Ukraine, Sahil Ksenzov.
Three intriguing fights to come here from Maidstone, live on Box Nation and on YouTube tonight. The first of them comes at super middleweight. Sergei Ksenzov
and please
of
welcome
Ukraine.
into the ring from Royston, Hertfordshire, George Croy.
And the blue trunks heading to the blue corner tonight. One of a clutch of very talented young fighters emerging in this
Ladies and gentlemen,
promotional
next up this
empire.
evening is a 6 3-minute rounds contest
George
in the
Croy.
light heavyweight division. Firstly, in the red corner, having his 45th contest this evening, weighing in 174 pounds and 6 ounces. And tonight he wears the white shorts. Please welcome from Germany, by way of Ukraine, Sahil Ksenzov. And across the ring in the blue corner, with one win from one, weighing in 171 pounds, 2 ounces, and tonight he wears the blue shorts. Please welcome from Royston, Hertfordshire, George Croy. Your referee is Mr. Mark Bates, now giving his final instructions.
Okay, gentlemen, when I tell you to break, you take a step back immediately. Get your punches up, obey my commands and protect yourselves at all times. Good luck to you both. Trust us.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 3-minute rounds.
Thanks to Mark Burdis, our MC. These are rounds at super middleweight, and this is professional fight number 2 for George Croy. And he goes straight up to 6 rounds. The southpaw, the serving Royal Marine Commando, a boxer with almost exemplary record of service in the amateur boxing game. On the back of his trunks you will see a reference to Royal Navy ABC, but the amateur story better explained in full by the gentleman, the learned gentleman to my right, Richie Woodall, who oversaw much of his amateur career, Richie, when he was one of the best in Britain and a constant challenger for that Olympic spot.
He had 2 Olympic cycles actually, George Croy. He was on the GB squad for 7 years. He was a great sparring partner to Ben Whittaker actually for when Ben won his Olympic silver medal at Tokyo. And then he's just missed out again in the Paris cycle. But again, good sparring partner for Lewis Richardson, who went on to win bronze in Paris. And he's been a great servant to GB boxing, as George Croy. He had over 50 international contests, fought all over the world, and he was one of the fittest kids. I always remember him on the squad. One of the fittest lads, boxers on the squad actually. A very good runner. Very fit kid indeed, and that's why, you know, he's going to 6 rounds straight in his second contest from 4. You know, he's developed this engine as an amateur, and he could go to 8 rounds right now, believe me. He's a very fit and well-conditioned boxer indeed.
What I'm liking here, Rich, having watched his pro debut, is this is a more assertive beginning tonight, isn't it, from Croy? Yeah,
he's boxing well here on the front foot. Obviously, in his debut against Dylan Courtney, he won that one on points. But he started very strongly here, positive on that front foot, keeping his opponent at bay and going forward, and I think he's boxing well in the opening round.
Kusendov would rather have a moment to breathe and compose himself, but Crotty's not giving him anything, not giving him any respite whatsoever.
Well, I always remember speaking to George when he left the GB squad and said, look, you know, good luck, box at your pace against these opponents.
Yeah, definitely.
They'll try and slow it down, a lot of pros do. I said, you've got to box at your pace. You've developed this engine now, and your strength
that's
is
your
strength.
Engine.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Richie.
So box at your pace, and that's what he's doing here.
I never understand why in boxing we talk among the lower weight divisions all the time about pressure fighters, but when we talk middle, super middle, light heavy crews, you never hear, oh, he's a pressure fighter. But
no.
some would actually be better if they played their natural game.
Absolutely, and that's what he's got to do. And look what he's doing here. Good positive start, going through the gears, boxing at a fast tempo, high work rate. And like I say, that's his strength, George Crotty.
I like him like this, I must say. A really impressive opening to this fight tonight from Crotty. Good work. And he's going to stand. He's feeling good.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a good coach as well there, Sadleo, who was a GB boxing coach as well. And obviously the turned pro with him now also. So he's got a good setup. Like I say, he was a valid servant to the GB squad for the 7 years that he served us. Great.
2017 Elite Amateur Champion. I'm told that his best win in the amateurs came against Robbie Rahim Gonzalez, who went on to become the World Amateur Champion in 2021. That's really proper pedigree.
Seconds out, round 2.
Simon Legg is the manager. A manager who seems very cannily to be building a very potent stable indeed.
Knows his boxing, Simon, as well.
Yes, he does actually.
You talk to him, he knows his stuff.
He's doing a great job tonight, Simon Legg, of avoiding news about Tottenham Hotspur so far. His beloved Tottenham Hotspur on other business tonight.
You see, you can see signs that Kusendov just wants to slow things down, wants a bit of time, wants a bit of space, and George Crotty's not allowing any time at all. He's on him, working well behind his jab, switching the attack there to the body also. So again, it's a positive display. Kusendov would like just a few seconds breathing space.
No, he's not getting it, Rich.
He's not getting it at all.
One of the top 10 rules of life: don't try to be something that you're not. Be true to yourself. And this kind of showing from Crotty, all about work rate, this seems to me to offer something slightly different and interesting.
Up against an opponent, remember, he's only been stopped once in 44 contests. So he's a tough guy, Kusendov, no doubt. And he's hard to nail because he's always on the back foot. It's always more difficult to knock an opponent out who's moving away from you. So it's good. So at some point, Crotty maybe have to try and bring him onto a shot.
Yeah, or double it up a bit more, Richie, on the way in, perhaps, yes. But yeah, I'm thinking about a guy like Wayne McCulloch. You didn't see McCulloch sparking people, did you? But, you know, he became a world champion doing it his way. Fitness and pressure, same thing.
Yeah. That was a decent left hand there from Crotty. So Kusendov really felt that one. That was a real good shot straight away. He's on that back foot, so he's trying to just get a bit of space. Little uppercut through the middle there, wasn't too far away. That's decent work there again from Crotty. So he's boxing with a lot of confidence here, George Crotty.
As well he might. Back of the head, okay, fine. From Kusendov's point of view, but anything he can do to attract the attention of Mark Bates and somehow get breathing space, he will go for here. He knows he's been given a workover. His face bears testimony to that. He's blowing hard. He knows how to survive this guy, and he'd like to survive this one, but he's going to have to really put his mind to it. 6-rounder. Crotty might have done with actually just finishing off, closing the round. But I think a lot of that last 10 seconds, Richie, Crotty was looking at Kusendov as if to say, have you got a lot left here? Because there's nothing really in terms of a cut of itself to worry Kusendov, but nonetheless, he's looking like he's had a battering for 10 rounds already.
Yeah, I think if he starts doubling up the attacks, Paul, like you said, George Crotty, he could get a stoppage here. Now, that would be a statement, and that would be an excellent result to stop a guy who's only been stopped once in 44 contests. You know, who's a naturally tough man. To stop this guy, then that would be a result, which I think he could do. He's just got to get back behind his boxing a little bit. He's looking for his left hand a little bit too much towards the end of the round.
Yes.
So he's got to start getting back to that boxing and using that lead hand a little bit more to set up that more powerful backhand that he's got.
I think a younger version of Crotty might have tried to take a few more risks in the last 10-15 seconds of that round, but he's 30 years of age with all this amateur experience behind him, and he starts this round fast, perhaps as if to say, right, well, I didn't really pursue him as I might have done, but I'm after my prey again now. And Kusendov, his response is a good one from his point of view, which is to actually start to fight a bit more rather than just try to move away. But he is a relentless operator, is Mr. Crotty.
Let's set up these attacks behind that lead hand. That's a nice lead up to the body there from him, just switching downstairs. I'd like to see a lot more jabs, setting up that backhand. That's not too far away. And what George has got to do also, he's got to use his double jab occasionally, Paul, to close that gap down, that double jab, and then send the left hand home.
An invitation to Mr. Kusendov to offer a little bit more, perhaps, and to stand up straighter at the crouch where possible. Oh, he very nearly went. I think he thought about going over there, Richie. Kusendov right into the breadbasket. Now he says there was one that was low, but there was one that definitely wasn't low, and there's another one.
You see his problem, Kusendov, at the moment, Paul. He keeps switching from orthodox to southpaw, and he's getting caught on the switch. His feet keep crossing. And Crotty has landed a couple of good body shots. Oh,
that's a great shot. Left hand. Kusendov again retreats to his plan A tonight, which is to try to stay out of the line of fire. But here comes the Royal Marine Commando to lay fire on him again. And now Kusendov does touch down. Is it going to count as a knockdown?
I think it should.
I think it should as well, I must say. But it's not counting as a knockdown. That's a let-off.
What's happening here also, Paul, Kusendov, he's getting really, really tired now because he can't cope with the pace here. We've said this before, that's a lovely variation with that left uppercut from there from Crotty, but the volume of shots from George Crotty is too much for the opponents.
Brilliant. This should be running through the referee's mind now in terms of how much more Kusendov needs to take here for me.
Just needs to steady himself now and just set the shots up. Does George Crotty, because a couple more may just do it and force the stoppage. Just got to pick his punches here.
Last 30 seconds of the round.
Just maintain that gap between himself. See, his opponent is exhausted, and that's because of volume. The pace of the contest, he can't cope with it.
This is a hard way to earn a living tonight for Serhii Kusendov, and he's a very hard man indeed from Ukraine. Playing his part very well indeed. The real spirit of a warrior and the sportsmanship there. The little tap on the gloves with Crotty as if to say to Crotty, well done, you are doing well here tonight. He's not going to go away quietly, but he's really, really being put through it tonight by Crotty.
Yes, he is. I mean, he's a tough guy. The Ukrainian boxers are hard as nails. But like I say, he just can't cope with the pace. And a couple of good body shots may just do the trick here. So it's up to George Crotty to find those quality punches. Up the pace most definitely, because his opponent's struggling with that. But like I say, it would be a statement there if he could get a stoppage here, George Crotty.
6 rounds, remember.
we're only halfway. See, there's Kasendov again, just starting as an orthodox boxer, and then he'll switch to southpaw. And he's been caught 2 or 3 times when he's been switching.
Down on his knees 3 times. None have counted as knockdowns, and I'm again not debating that one. But it's just another indicator of how much pressure Kasendov is under.
Oh, nice little slip there from George Crotty, and then just came back with a couple of good counters. So he slips that first shot, and then he looks for the counter, just George Crotty, when he's counter punching going forward.
That Ukrainian warrior spirit is very much to the fore from Kasendov.
I just heard Simon Legg, his manager there, saying that's the shot. He's talking about the left uppercut. The variety in his work tonight is pretty impressive there. It is again on the inside. A little left uppercut, good variation, and he's not giving Kasendov any time to rest at all.
Exactly.
Even on the inside, he'll get caught with a short left uppercut occasionally. There it is there.
Yeah. To me, that's a punch that he could develop, Richie, still a lot more, Crotty.
Yeah, exactly.
With a bit of work in the gym.
Yeah, I would agree. And also, it's a punch that it's not expected and could do some damage with it.
It's a sneaky pro punch, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed. Just when the opponent thinks he's getting a bit of a breather on the inside, and that whips through the middle.
Nonetheless, we salute Kasendov for this effort tonight, and in keeping with so many of the Ukrainian boxers plying their trade in this dreadful era for their country, all around the world, with such pride, determination, will and spirit. In a wider context, we see it every time Alexander Usyk goes in the ring, all his compatriots, and even at a lower level, admittedly, from Kasendov, that determination to keep going that we see in his homeland.
Yeah, they're tough, aren't they?
Oh yeah, unbelievable.
And the majority of them, the overwhelming majority of them, are really well-scored boxers, you know, great coaches over there in Ukraine. And they've got good kids to work with because they're tough people.
I was speaking to Igas Klimas, you know, Richie, not long ago. Usyk's manager, his guide, his guiding light, he said to me, we never quit. Some people in this world don't understand that, but we never quit. And Crotty acknowledges. Crotty's grateful for the rounds, and he should be at this stage in his pro career, Rich. I know he's got this vast bank of amateur experience.
Yes, he is. He's experienced as an amateur, inexperienced as a professional, and you know, this is a new challenge to him. He's up against someone he's hit cleanly with several shots. Looks like he was going to go over. Looks like he's going to stop him at one point, but he's still there. So it's a new experience for George Crotty.
It's something you flagged earlier tonight, though, again, and it is one of the chief differences, isn't it, between the amateur game and the professional business of boxing. The other guy is on his business as well. This is how he's earning his living, and if he stopped, he might not earn a living for a few weeks.
I always remember my old man who coached me as a professional used to say to me, listen, you'll break these opponents down with your skills, but they'll just keep coming. You've got to be confident in your fitness and just keep doing your job. It's all about your mindset then, Paul.
5th of 6 scheduled rounds. As George Crotty tonight moves up from 4 to 6 rounds in the professional ranks.
So we see George now going through the gears. So he's sensing now that the opponent, again, is struggling. So he's recognising that, and now he's going through the gears now. And that's probably come from his corner also. He's ready to go up the pace here, put him under a little bit more pressure. And he's doing that now.
Fighting at close quarters. And that is a little skill set to be added. Nicely turning his man there. Kasendov, true to type, is trying to dig deep, trying to answer fire with fire a bit more than earlier when he was overwhelmed really by Crotty's pressure. And very much to Richie's point, this is where Crotty needs to remember that there's still a job of work to do, second by second, minute by minute, through each and every round, however long it's going to go.
Yeah, it's all about concentration now in terms of the accuracy and your time and getting that right. Kasendov, for me, you know, if Crotty was to put a decent attack together with shots like that, then he may be ready to go. So it's all about concentration, hitting the target and getting the timing right, Paul. And test him again, go through the gears again. That's what Crotty's got to do here. He's got the engine, just got to maintain that gap and just put the foot on the gas a little bit here.
As he's doing now, Richie.
Yeah. This is it, see? And he's starting to come undone a little bit to send off.
An 8 or 10 punch combination. Kasendov walks away from it. There might be another one before the round is up. So is it all set up here for a big grandstand finish to the round from Crotty? He's looking for it, I think.
Yeah, he's looking for the big shot now, isn't he? Again, he's got to set it up. Got to concentrate.
Kasendov appealing for a low blow, a bit like his hero was sick in that particular incident, but people still go on about. In the news again this week, potential rematch with Daniel Dubois.
That'd be a great rematch, won't it? Because now Dubois is much more confident now. So I'd look forward to that one. We know how good Usyk is, but Daniel Dubois has improved since that contest. So, yeah, that's going to be a good one to look forward to if it comes off. Just going through the gears here. George Crotty, some good work from him. And the send-off there. Did well to get through that. And all he wants to do now is hear that final bell to send off. If George Crotty can get a stoppage in this last round, that'll be the perfect performance for him. He's got plenty of rounds under his belt. If he gets a stoppage, that'll be the icing on the cake.
Corners, 10 seconds. Seconds out. 6th and final round.
Kasendov lifts himself quite wearily back into the line of fire for this 6th and last round. He has most certainly earned his money again tonight, and he's determined to do what he can to get over the line. But it's been a very impressive showing overall tonight from George Crotty.
He's got to learn now to maintain that gap, Paul. When his opponent falls in on him, he's got to step back and bring him onto the uppercut.
These are easy fixes though, Richie, are they? That fact, we spoke a while ago about this short right hand which he does possess, a really potent weapon, underused at the moment. I'm asking if they're quick fixes in your view.
Yeah, little right hooks on the inside, yes, but it's all about having just the instinct of taking half a step back rather than going forward and anticipating the opponent coming forward and maintaining the gap. That's what he's got to do. He's got the tools to do it on the inside, but now he's just got to have the know-how of just occasionally stepping back, taking half a step and maintaining that gap and let the opponent come into the space and punch through that gap then.
On his way.
Yeah, exactly. See there, just that was a perfect opportunity where he just failed then just to take a step back and just bring him onto the shot. That's why you've got to keep working with the lead hand, because that measures the distance all the time. There you go.
Relentless pace throughout this 6 rounds here tonight. Off the left hand he can do it, just did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again.
Clever Kasendov, most certainly, just rushes forward occasionally just to close the gap and nullify any work that's coming.
Almost tonight, Richie, from Crescendo's point of view, couple of rounds into it, he's thinking, don't know this kid, fresh into the pro game, shouldn't be too hard tonight. And after about 4 rounds, when it's been really hard, he's had to say to himself, right, I'm actually going to have to get down to this and work for this to get over the line, which he is doing.
Yeah, because he won't have expected that.
Exactly.
He won't have expected the pace the way it's been, most certainly.
I'm going to say something, if I may, Richie, about George Croy, which some are going to say is a ridiculous statement, but he's only 2 pro fights into his professional career, obviously.
Yeah.
If he was put in with any of the top 6 in Britain in this division right now, he would make a good job of it. And that's unusual to say about any 2-fight professional.
I think he'd handle the pace of a contest, Paul. He may be out of his depth a little bit in terms of going 10 rounds and competing at that level, or a 12-rounder. But it won't be too long before you see George Croy go to 8 and 10 rounds. But he's got to learn the game a little bit more now. So I'd probably slightly disagree with you.
Okay.
I think he'd be out of his depth in terms of the top operators in Britain at the moment. But after 3 or 4 fights, then most certainly he could make that step up, because he's got that engine developed, and he'll be able to handle 12 rounds within 10 contests, most definitely.
I think there was a lot of that fight where he was looking like a very good contender to win inside the distance. He's gone the distance. Here's Mark Burness.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee scores the contest 60 points to 54. The winner in the blue corner from Ruston, Hertfordshire, George Royal Karate.
Salute to George Croy, the Royal Marine Commando. Shutout victory in only his 2nd pro fight. Richie's given me a bit of a put down, and he's probably wise and counsel than I was probably getting slightly carried away. But Croy has been very impressive again. Let's hear from him now.
George, this is the 2nd bout of your pro career, a great win. It looks like things are getting really underway for you.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. First one back out in 2025. So you've got to keep the ball rolling, you know.
You had a great amateur experience. Are you looking to replicate that in the pro scene?
Yeah, definitely. Good amateur, but I know this is a different game, you know, and I'm starting from the bottom of it.
And what's next for you? You heading back out soon?
Hopefully as soon as I can. Got my manager, Simon Legg. He'll tell me what I'm doing. I trust him, what he said that I should do, and yeah, just follow that.
Perfect. Brilliant performance. Well done, mate.
Out this way.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the ring from Narva, Estonia, Arjam Spatar. Welcome from Maidstone, Kent, Mason Perez.
Maidstone is boxing Boomtown. And here's another of their hot prospects, Mason Payne, in tonight at super welterweight, 4-round schedule against Arjam Spatar. It's his 3rd pro fight. Like Sam Noakes, the star turn the British Commonwealth and European lightweight champion. This young man earns a living as a roofer in his life away from boxing.
Firstly, fighting out of the red corner with 4 wins, 1 by way of knockout, 13 losses and a draw. Weighing in 155 pounds, 5 ounces, and tonight he wears the black shorts. Please welcome from Narva, Estonia, Arjam Spatar. And moving across into the blue corner with 2 wins from 2. Weighing in 153 pounds, 7 ounces. And tonight he wears the red and white shorts. Please welcome from Maidstone, Kent, Mason Perez. Your referee, Bernard Oyet, will now give his final instructions.
Gentlemen, let's keep it clean, let's keep it professional. Remember to protect yourself at all times. Touch that, good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is 4 3-minute rounds.
Thanks again to Mark Bellis, our MC. Bernard Oyet back on referee duty here as Mason Payne gets set to go at Super Welter.
Seconds out, round 1.
Third professional outing for Mason Payne tonight. An amateur from Westtree Amateur Boxing Club, where he used to look up to Sean and Sam Noakes, and tonight they are both at ringside watching him. Also boxed at the Ropes and Glory ABC in Chatham, where Moses Itauma started. He and Itauma have had the same strength and conditioning coach, I understand, Jordan Vine. It's all happening down here, Richie, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Amazing. Brilliant.
I think he's actually sparred Sam Noakes as well. Obviously, he's big friends with both Sean Noakes and Sam Noakes, but he's done a bit of sparring with Sam Noakes. And Sam Noakes obviously is lightweight, but he's very sharp, isn't he? And you know,
so strong as well, Richie.
Very strong, very sharp. So that would be really decent sparring. He will have learned a lot from those spars against Sam Noakes. So yeah, he's on home soil. Sometimes that can be a distraction. Obviously, he's got a lot of fans here. But he's just got to stick to his job here, because Sparta, we've seen him before. He can be dangerous if he fancies it.
I was going to say,
you know what I mean? He's no mug. This boxer from Estonia.
Yeah.
So it's up to Mason Payne, who looks in good condition. He's had good training, but he's got to get the job done here. And like I say, don't give this fella any sniff of a victory or success, because he can be dangerous.
Doesn't look like much, Spatar, but I think Richie's quite right to say that he can be a handful. He drew against Sam King of Luton. And he's got a bit to prove tonight, which can be motivational as well. He lost in a first round stoppage not very long ago to Larry Lawton. It was a left hook to the body. No doubt that has been part of the thinking. Oh, very much part of the thinking. Here we go. He touches down. Spatar.
That looks a cracking right hand. The left hander went in after that, but I think it was initially the right hand that put Gumshield's come out. The referee's going to give him a bit of time here, so he's spat that Gumshield out.
That worked out quite nicely, didn't it?
But there, that was that body shot, cracking right hand from Payne.
Really good from Payne.
Yeah.
And Spatar felt the pain. Very composed. Has that little bit of presence in the ring, Payne. There he goes again. Yeah. I think that they've seen that last fight, Richie. They know there's a potential weakness there. But it's one thing knowing it and another deploying it as impressively as Payne has done here early on.
Yeah, this is all about now switching the attack. So those headshots are good, but then whip the shots downstairs. Spatar most certainly is struggling with the body shots.
Very close to being right out through the rope above us, and in his corner, very smart. Payne was just told by his corner, don't start fouling him, don't ruin your good work in this round.
Just do it behind your boxing, that's what you've got to do.
Oh, and again.
Yeah. The elbows are tucked in now, Paul, so it's a more difficult target to hit.
Payne acknowledged that but it's a bit late for Spatar to put up the defences. A really impressive and very eventful opening round, Richie.
Yeah, tremendous stuff. And we were praising Mr. Spatar, but we got caught there. There's that body shot. Yeah, it's that right hand to the body. And his elbow soon came down. He got hit a couple of times after that, so it could be a little bit more difficult now to actually get through to that body. So that's why he's maybe got to switch the attacks now from head to body. But nevertheless, a great first round for Mason Payne.
The Ruth nearly caved in for Arjam Spatar against the man who puts roofs on people's houses, Mason Payne. Second round of 4.
So you look at the elbows now, straight away from Spatar. Just tucked in. So this is where, like I say, got to concentrate probably on the head and then switch downstairs. And he won't expect that. Because if you just target the body now, he's going to just tuck up. And you could even, this is where you can even hurt your hands, Paul. It's in the elbows of an opponent. So he's got to watch what he's doing. But nevertheless, Mason Payne full of confidence.
Spatar needs to get busy here, Richie, because sooner or later he's going to get caught, clipped again, I think. Even get a bit busier, being busy doing nothing, if you follow. Show a bit more, because it's all at a pace, suiting Payne right down to the ground at the moment.
Well, he's committed the ultimate sin, hasn't he? He's showing the opponent that he's hurt, and it's that body shot that's done the damage.
He's making a few shapes, but he's going backwards doing it.
Yeah. So Mason Payne knows now that it could be just a matter of time before he lands another one. Oh, that's better. That's a nice shot there. And Spatar, fair play to him, come back with his own shot.
See, he's just not offering Payne anything to think about at close quarters, really, Richie. He's in range, but he's not throwing at all, Spatar.
No.
Inviting all kinds of trouble upon himself.
You see, in these situations, you've got to try and make him punch, Paul. So the odd feints here and there, try and trigger the opponent off, try and get Spatar. Because Spatar he'll be more vulnerable when he's actually throwing a shot. That's when he'll leave himself open. And that's when, he's just a little bit too far away, but when he's jabbing there, you can catch him with the right hand over the top, a left up maybe downstairs to the body. So you've got to try and make him punch. That's when he's vulnerable. Oh, nice work. Nice head movement there from Payne.
Last 10. Opening 2 rounds have been a real showcase for the skill set of Mason Payne. 1 or 2 show real moments, highlight real moments. Spatar under all kinds of pressure.
Yeah, lovely work there, downstairs, then switches the attack in, short left uppercut on the inside, but lovely straight 1-2, that was a cracking shot. And Spatar, fair play, came back with his own punch there, after that, the end of that sequence. But positive stuff from Mason Payne.
Brilliant. Just a word on the scoring, obviously, with our probationer referee, Bernard Oyek. His card also under supervision. And I think I'm right in saying Mark Bates also scoring from outside the ring.
Corners, 10 seconds. Seconds out. Round 3.
Really sharp tonight, Mason Payne, again in his third pro outing so far. Nothing really being offered here to concern him or the crowd from Arjam Spatar from Estonia.
Another tactic here, Paul, could be just to up the volume of punches, so really go through the gears. Lovely shot there from Payne, nice little counter. At the moment, Spatar has done well just to slow things down, and the slower the pace, the better it will suit him.
Yeah, definitely, Richard.
You can see the attacks coming. So do the opposite, go through the gears, make him work a little bit, and that's when he'll become open, but put him under a little bit more pressure. That's what probably Mason Payne needs to do here.
The crowd are filling every possible vantage point to see Mason Payne putting on a show here tonight. Spatar thought about some naughty stuff. Now he just manhandles his man back onto the rope. Not much respite there, and he's tried it a bit more now with feeling. Remembering he's also nearly out the ring himself. Just step out, they're telling Payne. Step out and give yourself the space to work.
That's it. Rather than lunging. That's it. Look. Now, I was just going to say, he's open to that right uppercut now. He just landed that one there.
Quick hands, Richie.
Yeah, very
quick.
See, you're hearing the coach say, step out, step out. He just wants him just to, after that, those two punches there, just needed to step backwards rather than hold his feet and allow the opponent to come forward. His coach is talking about maintaining the gap. That's what he's got to do. A little bit better, but that's good work. That's better.
That's very nearly back where we started in the first round. But he's learned the lesson, Payne, and he didn't try to send his man spinning through the rope. Gets on with the job at hand now. Two-handed assault again. And now Spatar tries a bit of that.
Yeah, Payne there, just trying to bob and weave and throwing the shots from different angles. I like the style of him, actually.
Yeah, me too.
I think he's exciting. Nice punch there on the inside.
He's a crowd pleaser, isn't he, Richard?
Absolutely. Well, he is down here, there's no doubt about that. But yeah, he's got a crowd pleasing style, I think, Paul.
Wow, sharp shots. He's a sharp shooter in these highlights, isn't he?
Yeah, he is indeed. Lovely little screw shot there at the end. So yeah, I think he's got a good variety and range of punches, Payne. Just got to listen to his corner and just maintain the gap, step back rather than step forward.
They're not peas in a pod, these kids from Maidstone, are they? The Noakes boys, Richard, they're very methodical. They seem to fight with more and more maturity.
I think, well, overall, Paul, looking at them, they're very well schooled, actually. So they certainly know what they're doing down here in the amateur gyms and whatever, because that's where it all stems from. And now they're carrying on into the pro game. And yeah, they're well schooled boxers. They look in good condition, and yeah, they're crowd pleasers.
I'm really excited by this, I must say. Fantastic atmosphere here tonight, number one. It looks like people have waited a long time to have a successful run of local fighters, and they're really getting behind their boys in the ring, and of course potentially girls.
Yeah. So he's got to get back to using his lead hand a little bit more and setting the attacks up. And when you're using that lead hand, then if the opponent's coming forward, you adjust your feet. See, the lead hand just measures the distance. There you go. That's all you got to do, and the opponent eventually will come forward. You'll have a little go, and that's when you've got to be ready to bring him onto a shot and just to adjust your feet so he doesn't fall into you and close you down. Just be patient with that lead hand especially. Just keep probing away with it, looking for the openings.
He's got 2 minutes really to light the gas again and really go for it.
Nice, that's better.
Like that.
That's it. Now go again.
Spatar finds a safe haven on the inside for a moment, but not for long. I don't think he'll be for long.
Like you said before, Paul, Payne seems to look a little bit better when he's up in the pace, when he's going through the gears, he's putting his shots together, when his boxing's flowing a little bit better.
And he does do really well on the angle, Richie, doesn't he?
Yes, he does indeed.
When he comes off the line, he looks a better operator for me, and that's a real compliment.
Yeah, throws shots from different angles.
Yeah.
Scoring shots as well.
Exactly. Spatar has worked out that the route to survival is to be as close as possible.
Yeah, indeed. But sometimes, Paul, if he's on the outside, if he's not close, then he does the opposite and he moves. Because what he's trying to do there is slow things down. It suits him with a slower pace, no question.
It'll suit him well enough to hear the final bell in a little over 30 seconds from now, because it could have really got out of hand for him. He was on the end of a lot of punishment. Shown a bit of nous here late on, Spatar.
Yeah, he has.
Managed his way through toward the final bell, unless Payne comes up with something spectacular.
Yeah, showed a bit of experience, hasn't he, Spatar?
That sounded more devastating, I think, to the crowd than it actually was, but he has produced some devastating bursts. And the final bell comes, and the house rises to Mason Payne of Maidstone, who dished it out. Another really hot prospect made here in Maidstone.
I think overall the corner will be pleased with that performance against a tough guy who at times was difficult to actually nail with a shot. But I thought he showed a good variation in his work, Payne. Good uppercuts, left hooks to the body. He counter-punch going forward, occasionally slipping left and right and then coming back with punches. And as he says, works well off different angles. So I think they've got a good kid there, lots to work with. Only his third contest, and 20 years of age, he's just going to keep improving. If he's going to be sparring the Noakes brothers as well, then yeah, I think he's got a good future there.
Ladies and gentlemen, your referee scores the contest 40 points to 35. The winner in the blue corner from Maidstone, Kent, Mason Payne.
A very popular winner indeed here tonight.
Arjam Spatar.
So Mason Payne wins for the third time as a professional. He's getting the rounds, he's winning the rounds. He looks like he's got so much more to offer. Speed, great angles, good temperament, big talent. Another one from here in Maidstone. What do you think? 8.5?
8.5. 8.5.
Don't try again. No. Just take the photograph.
Yeah.
Don't ruin everything now. Better than I could do. Yeah. Let me be clear.
Absolutely.
We're going to have a word with our winner, who's making his way over now, and let's get to know him a little bit better.
Mason, that's 3 impressive performances on the bounce now. How good did it feel to get that third one tonight?
Yeah, nice. I wanted to get him out there, if I'm honest, but there's not much he can do when he's holding. But yeah, good performance overall.
When you got that knockdown in the first round, did you think you were going to get him out of there?
No, I know he's tough, but I knew he was weak to the body. I did try to go for it, but I just kept holding. It was getting a bit messy in there.
And your manager's had you out 3 times in 6 months now. Are you looking to get a 4th pretty soon?
Yeah, hopefully I can get out as soon as possible. Hopefully.
Perfect. Well done for your performance today.
Thank you, appreciate it, thank you. I want to thank all my sponsors, all of them best in their businesses. Thank you.
Let's go, yeah? Give me 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into the ring from Burnham on Crouch, Essex, Josh Nutley! To the ring, please welcome from Bromley, Kent, Harry Mullins! Bout this evening is a 6 3-minute rounds contest. Firstly, in the red corner with a win and a loss, weighing in 112 pounds, and tonight he wears the red shorts with black trim. Please welcome from Burnham on Crouch, Essex, Josh Nutley! And across the ring in the blue corner, with 7 wins, a 1 loss and a draw, weighing in 113 pounds, 3 ounces, and tonight he wears the sky blue shorts with pink and white trim. Please welcome from Bromley, Kent, Harry the H-Man Mullins! Your referee Sean McAvoy will now give his final instructions.
Okay, lads, 6-round contest. Keep it clean at all times, keep yourself protected at all times. Touch gloves, here we go. Good luck, lads.
Ladies and gentlemen, 6 3-minute rounds.
So a cracking fight all the way here in prospect. It's right on the border really between flyweight and bantamweight. That's secondary. The main issue is if Harry Mullins can come flying out of the corner here tonight and really put it on Josh Nutley. In terms of a character, Nutley is right up there, but in terms of British rankings, either at bantam or flyweight, he's the first to admit he's got a lot to do. So it's a chance tonight, Richie, for Mullins to look good and win in style. And he could do with that, I think. First appearance for well over a year, 411 days. March of 24, the draw with Nabil Ahmed, that was not a good result. And 12 months before that, he lost on the big occasion before tonight, really, in his whole career. Southern Area title bid against Paul Roberts, lost on 10 points. So he needs to get this right tonight, doesn't he?
Yes, he does, and he's a quality boxer, Mullins, skillful southpaw. likes to sit on that back foot and the opponent to come forward, and he's probably got the perfect opponent tonight to do that in Josh Nutley in terms of the style. But Nutley at 34, he knows he can't hang around, so he knows he has to win every contest, Paul. And although he's got a 1-on-1 record, he knows that time's running out, so every contest is an opportunity for him, and he's just going to set that pace. He comes out quick, walks onto one there, so he's got to move his head a little bit more as he's going forward. There you go, and Josh Nutley right on cue. But he set a fast pace. Mullins would prefer to slow things down. He's a skillful counter-punching southpaw, and they like a slower pace. So Nutley has come out in the right way, fast on that front foot. He's got to move his head a little bit more to avoid the punches as he's coming forward.
Mullins still only 22 years of age. Nutley 34, but this really is his first year or so as a professional. Quite a character. Only ever got involved in boxing because he clambered out of the crowd, invited to come out of the crowd at a show where he's just showing up as a fan, put the gloves on and said, let me have a go.
Yeah.
Great Hollywood boxing story. Didn't have a Hollywood ending. He said I was rubbish. But anyway, he was bitten by the bug, and he went on his merry way in the unlicensed circuit for many, many years before deciding only last year to give it a go in the pro game.
Yeah, his problems here, Paul, tonight. He's just starting his attacks from a little bit too far out, and already Mullins is showing his class. He's slowed it down, and you see he's keeping a big gap between himself and Nutley, and he's bringing him onto shots. So Nutley's got to box at a fast tempo, but he's got to get close. He's got to try and push Mullins back to the ropes.
As mentioned a while ago, Richie, the mental side of this business, I think that's one of the biggest factors tonight. Nutley's got it all to prove. Kind of guy who's got it all to prove to the world every day. And Mullins has got to prove it to himself that he's really still got it, I think. Which it seems crazy to say about a 22-year-old. Of course he's got all the time in the world. But the career profile must create question marks.
Well, so Paul, he lost that one contest against Paul Roberts, but that was for the Southern Area title. That was over 10 rounds. So the positive thing there, although he got beat, he's been 10 rounds for the first time. And, he's only 22, and one defeat doesn't mean your career's over. He'll learn from that. He's a decent boxer, is Harry Mullins. He's just got to box more now on a regular basis. This is not a bad start to the round, though, from Nutley. His corner obviously told him, get up close, push him back. You've got to make things really uncomfortable for Mullins by upping the tempo. That's good tactics from Nutley at this stage.
Richie, I'm mindful of what you were telling us earlier tonight about Jose Perez. I'm not sure I've seen one straight-arm punch so far in this fight from Nutley. However, that doesn't mean to say that he doesn't have a chance. And it's something else that you've been teaching us again tonight, Richie, about fighters fighting to the style which suits them best. You're not going to teach him the finer points of the noble art at the age of 34. That's not going to happen.
No.
But he's fit, he's determined, and he wants to give the blue corner a problem.
Yeah, a boxer who thinks he can win, Paul, is a boxer hard to beat. And Will very often can overcome skill, no doubt about it. We've seen it many times before. And that's what we've got here in terms of Nutley. He hasn't got the skills of Mullins, but he's certainly got the will. He's going to be caught time and again in this contest, and then we'll see how tough he really is. But if Mullins brings his left uppercut into play here, then he really could pay dividends for him. So let's see how Nutley goes. He's certainly got the will. He keeps coming forward. But certainly the skills of this contest are with Mullins. He's the superior skillful boxer. But he's in against an opponent who thinks he can win this one.
Yeah, and it's only a 6-rounder.
You see, that's where Nutley has got to carry on. He's got to sustain the pressure. The single attack isn't enough here. It just allows Mullins then to get on back on that back foot. You've got to go again. So double up the attack or sustain the pressure constantly. That's the tactic from Nutley and what he's got to do. But it's avoiding the shots as you're coming forward is the key for him.
Nutley's the one trying to set the pace. Mullins has not quite settled into his routine yet. A couple of really sharp individual counters from Mullins, but I don't know how heavily they're going to weigh in terms of the overall scoring. Well, and I say again, it's only a 6-rounder, Richard.
Yeah, it's been a good response from Nutley in this round. Yeah. I thought he was outboxed in the first round because he allowed Mullins to slow the pace down. But this has been certainly a better round for Nutley because he's upped the pace considerably here.
Doing his level best to close the range. He's not got the straight punches, he's not got the great footwork, but he, as you said, Rich, he's got the will, has Nutley. Mullins doesn't want to sit on the stool during the rounds.
Got to control the ring space a little bit better as Mullins. You've got to step from side to side and use circular movement rather than going back to the ropes.
We have got the Kaiser Chiefs blasting out here at the moment, my friend.
Brilliant.
And I always think of Josh Warrington. And I'm thinking right now about Carl Frampton against Josh Warrington. And that was a classic example of willpower and making the most of your style against a man who was, by his own admission, slightly off it on the night. And that's why Warrington prevailed in a tremendous fight. So it can be done, and it can be done by Nutley here tonight.
Yeah. See again, Nutley coming out strong and fast, listening to his corner. That's what his corner will have been telling him. And this is what I'm talking about, Mullins handling the ring space a little bit better. He's got to get off those ropes. He's got to try and box in ring space. Step off to the side.
Yeah.
And this is a typical southpaw orthodox situation where the heads will clash. And they have done a couple of times. Look, yeah, he's complained again. And look, there's a cut. Now there's a cut on the left eye. Just above the left eye of Nutley. That's definitely an accidental head clash. You get that with southpaws and orthodoxes.
There's quite a lot of blood coming out of it, Richie. It's not actually in a place of real damage by itself. The problem seems to be that the blood is running vertically down into the eye.
Yeah, and that can be a problem.
And that's a real problem.
Yeah. And the referee, you have to give the referee will make a decision then if it's impairing the vision of the boxer. Like I say, he's certainly got the application, hasn't he?
Oh yeah.
Just keep
tremendous
forward. Nice boxing there from Mullins. Like I say, I'd just like to see him step off to the side, more circular movement rather than that. Stay in that centre of the ring there. That's where he'll have his success, you see, in the centre. If he backs off to the ropes, the feet come square, then you invite pressure from Nutley.
I'm just getting the impression that in the corner of Mullins, they'd like to see their fighter proving to be the boss, the better fighter overall. But the pace is hot, and he doesn't look that comfortable.
And he'll have his worst spells when he's on those ropes, in those corners, Paul.
Just a sense at the moment that Harry Mullins really cannot get to work here enough.
It's all to do with pace, Paul. The pace of the contest now is suiting Nutley, no doubt. Keep coming forward, having a little bit. That's a quality shot though from Mullins. That's better. Like I say, he's got the skills, but it needs a little bit of clever footwork as well with those skills. And moving off and around the opponents and off to the side occasionally.
Richie, but is Mullins' work rate, his output tonight, is it enough for you?
Well, I think the volume of shots is coming from Nutley, but not everything's hitting the target from Nutley, Paul. You've got to remember that. Oh, there's lots of blood there coming from. There might be 2 or 3 cuts here, you know.
Maybe. They're getting set to get to work in that Nutley corner, and they're going to be needed here. Nutley's not panicked at all about it. I'll give him great credit for that. But now he looks and he says, is it bad? Answer is, it might be bad.
It was definitely from head clashes, and that's why he complained a little bit. I think it was accidental. A lot of the time he's the one that's coming forward as well. Definitely accidental head clashes, but that's what's caused those cuts.
Taking every possible second they can in the Nutley corner, and understandably so. Watch the heads, says Sean McAvoy. Nutley, undeterred, seeks to get back into his rhythm. The jerky, pacey, awkward style, and I'm saying that as a compliment. Mullins, supposedly the smoother boxer, needs to up the output. Needs to show he's the boss, Richie, I think.
Yeah, and there might just be a little bit of a change of tactic here for
yes.
Mullins. Holding his ground a little bit
Maybe.
more and just bringing his opponent to shot, but not being pushed back so much. So that might have come from the corner. Certainly he's not going backwards and trying to create space. Just holding his feet. That's where he should box from, that centre there. And just fend the opponent off with those fast shots.
That's what he's got to do, Richie, show who's the boss. The blood is flowing freely again for Nutley. He seems oblivious to it. He's so in the zone tonight, so hungry to win. What an attitude he's got.
Yeah, tremendous attitude, tremendous courage from him. A bit better boxing now from Mullins. Just holding his ground. And that's the key to this contest for him, I think. Got the boxing ring space, Paul. Centre of the ring, there you go, he's having more success. It's when he's pushed back to those ropes and corners, he's more vulnerable.
Yeah, and what we've just seen there is another point you made a few minutes ago to our viewers and listeners, Richie. You know, Nutley's throwing a lot, but he's missing a lot.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Missing the target a lot.
But it's a barnstorming affair at bantamweight tonight to close this show on Box Nation and YouTube. And Mullins, a heavy favourite, is not having it all his own way.
No, most definitely not. I mean, you know, Nutley is definitely in this fight. I don't think he's winning. I think Mullins is winning the contest, but nevertheless, Nutley is really having a go. And, you know, he's getting over some shots here and there. Constant pressure from him, and that's what he's got to do.
Richie, the great thing here, I think, for Nutley is if it is going to slip away from him, and that's starting to look like it might be the case, not certain, but there is a trend here. Nutley's doing enough again tonight to fill a berth, if you like, in British boxing as one of those crowd-pleasing fighters. He'll win himself a fan club for his attitude.
Yeah, I agree.
Apparently back home in Burnham-on-Crouch in Essex, he's already got a big fan club. A lot of people for a long time obviously didn't know he boxed, but now they do, so they shout in the street, when is your next fight? He says, they used to say to me, when is my next court appearance? He belongs in this business.
Saved by boxing, brilliant.
But that was better from Mullins, and that's what he needed to show. And more of that. That's what they're telling him in the corner now. Prove you're the boss.
Yeah, it's a good point, Paul. He certainly boxed better in there, in that round, because he wasn't pushed back so much.
A real crackerjack affair to end the night here. Mullins fighting out of Bromley, much like Ellis Zoro, who has made a return with a W tonight. But I guess the similarity between the two Bromley boys on the card, it's been good in parts so far for both of them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that Paul.
2 rounds to go. It's been hot from the get-go here in this one at bantamweight. The Roberts title fight, I don't think I mentioned, I should have done. The southern area was actually a light flyweight. Correcting myself. They believe that Mullins should be a light flyweight, Richie.
Right.
And the suggestion is that maybe he is a boy who gets in his own way mentally just a little bit. But I think he's seen some clarity. And he's worked out that he has to be the boss in this tonight. Not to make it harder for himself.
I think he's demonstrated he can box on the back foot and he can stand and hold his ground, Mullins. I think he's got a lot of skill. He likes to control the pace, and like I say, I think Josh Nutley and his corner soon realised that a slower pace seems to suit Mullins, and that's why Nutley's on that front foot. It's not pretty, you know, but he is getting to Mullins here and there. It's just the other difference, Paul, is the quality of the punching isn't quite as good with Nutley as it is with Mullins. Occasionally you see Mullins do something really good in terms of the quality of the shot, you know, an eye-catching shot, whereas Nutley's punches, plenty of volume, but a lot of them are scuffing punches, Paul, on the inside. It's volume, he gets through it. Occasionally he gets through with a good shot, but it's a very rare that you see Mullins' head go back. It's a quality shot. It's all on the inside. It's a bit scrappy here and there. It's just volume of punches from Nutley.
Just on the weight question though, Richie, going forward, if Harry Mullins does come through this, he's a flyweight.
Yeah, he is. He's, you know,
all out, isn't he?
People talking about bantamweight.
I can't see that at all, Richie.
Better work from him now to see quality shots again from Mullins, just getting the timing right as Nutley's coming forward. I think Nutley is slowing down slightly, Paul.
I think so too, yeah.
Allowing Mullins then to pick his shots.
The other reason I mentioned the flyweight division, he's a little reminiscent to me of Lee Haskins, who had a great run as a flyweight, didn't he?
Great boxer, yeah. Lovely boxer from Bristol.
Some similarities, I think, style-wise, and he should be encouraged by that comparison. Needs to keep on showing who's the boss. The longer it's got, generally, Haskins seems to have worked out the job. And forgive me, again, Mullins, like Haskins, seems to have worked out the job better. But he's had a puzzle to solve tonight.
Yeah, he's had to adapt and change, hasn't he, here and there, as Mullins. He fought on the back foot to start with, then Nutley up the tempo, then he stood and traded with Nutley. Then he's gone back on that back foot because I think Nutley has just slowed down slightly, and he's picked his shots here and there. So it's been a good display. It's been a hard contest for him because this fella, what he lacks in skills, he certainly makes up for in sheer determination. And you know, like I say, he will always be a crowd pleaser. Josh Nutley, people will always pay to see him.
Nutley charges out from the corner again. Before tonight, 1 win, 1 defeat. It looks like there might be another W going to Harry Mullins at this stage, which would make it 8 for him. And a second defeat, therefore, for Nutley. But Mullins started well, dropped the level. He seems to show the crowd now that he's got the measure of it, but he needs to make sure he continues and sees the effort through. the effort of the last 3 rounds.
The key to this style of boxing that Mullins is doing now is only a single shot or 1-2 shots maximum. Hit and move. Don't stand and trade with two or three shots, because that will allow Nutley then to close the gap and get to him. If you decide to hit a move, it's a single shot or 2 at the very most, and then get on your bike. He obviously thinks, you know, he's won the contest. He's just got to see it out, and that's why he's probably reverted back to this hit and move style. Nice quality shot there.
He was certainly progressing nicely in the early part of his pro career. And another fighter we have featured on the card tonight, actually, Jimmy Dean would testify to that, because they actually fought in the amateurs, the Youth Championship of 2020. That was an early indicator that Mullins could do well in the pro game. He actually won that fight, turned pro and did do well, and it looks at the moment like this is going to be the confidence booster that he really needed.
Yes, indeed. Boxing superbly well now. Nutley has really slowed down, badly damaged from that eye, and not moving the head as much now, and that's why he's just being picked off as he's coming forward. Brave effort from Nutley, he's given it everything, but the quality now in Mullins' boxing is very clear in evidence. Hitting and moving and picking his shots.
Might be the performance, this, from Mullins tonight, which would mean he's taken seriously at flyweight level, nationally.
Well, I think the size of him, Paul, is definitely a flyweight.
Has to
no
be,
doubt.
Richie.
But yes, he has got some decent skills, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's had to chop and change against a real hard, tough opponent tonight. And he's found a way, and good boxers always do.
Harry Mullins kept at it right to the finish, but a very entertaining conclusion tonight, and it might just be the moment that Harry Mullins has been relaunched. We call this a bantamweight fight tonight, but really what we have seen in there tonight is Mullins can make progress, surely, as a flashy flyweight who can box, who can command the ring, and who can fight on the outside at pace and give anybody a problem. Overall, a pretty good showing, and he's pretty pleased with himself. And it's the show tonight that Mullins needed in closing the show here in Maidstone. But what about Nutley? Bloodied, unbowed, as brave as can be. And if it comes to crowd pleasers, Josh Nutley can earn a career and a half from here at the age of 34.
Absolutely, it takes two to tango, doesn't it? And Josh Nutley just kept coming round after round, very determined. His corner, you can see, just egging him on. And yeah, overall, Mullins, a better quality boxer, a great contest. It's really exciting for him.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for both boxers who gave their all. Ladies and gentlemen, your referee scores the contest 59 points to 55. The winner, in the blue corner from Maidstone, Bromley, Kent, Harry Mullins. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the brave, talented and gallant Josh Nutley.
Thank you so much. Coming together. Harry Mullins, Josh Nutley, an absolute war in there tonight. Harry, you got the decision, but yeah, what a fight.
Oh, yeah, it's exactly what I needed, to be honest. After a year out of the ring, you don't get nothing fighting them journeyman, and he's there to win, and he's one tough guy and all, so credit to him.
Cheers, mate.
Credit.
Josh, absolute war in there. Correct decision?
Yeah, it was a correct decision. I mean, honestly, I thought it was the last round. I thought it was in the last round. You know, I think Harry was moving very well. I thought I was in the fight the whole time. I thought, my personal opinion, I thought it was the last round made decision, and he won the last round comfortably. But I did come to win tonight, you know, and he was a lot tougher than I expected. I knew he was a good mover, but I just couldn't keep up with him. He's quick on his feet, but it was a good fight. That's the type of fights I want. You know, I want to come out looking like this. It's what I train for.
Harry, how did it feel to close out Box Nation?
Oh, nice. I ain't got words, to be honest. It's unreal. But thank you for everyone that's run the show, got me on it, on to the next.
And what is next for you?
Whatever my team and my dad, like my coach, they all say, I'll do. Anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Nutley, Harry Mullins closing out the show here in Maidstone. And that is all from Maidstone tonight. It's been a fantastic night of boxing live on Box Nation. Thank you to all the viewers for joining us, and we'll see you next time.